Take number 2, Son of the Pigeon podcast. Started the podcast, but it was technical difficulties. I failed once again, but luckily I noticed this after only 2 minutes, and we did not hit the whole podcast, and then we would notice it. So it's better. Yes, this podcast is very special since we have Pinar. Is it Pinar or Pinar?
It's Pinar.
Pinar.
Yes.
Pinar. So it's R. Pinar.
Pinar.
And Pinar is an incredible singer from Berlin, and she's a great songwriter. She plays the ukulele, really complex. I never heard someone plays. I heard crazy stuff on the ukulele, but not jazz ukulele yet, until I heard you. And today it's very special since Pinar is going to open up, and she's going to tell us what it's like to be on the human side of being a musician, more than just the influences and how she writes songs and all the stuff that we already heard before. But also what it's like to be a human, and what kind of emotions comes up, and what kind of experiences are happening in everyday's life that we don't think about it when we think about musicians, and how musicians can handle it, how Pinar handles it. And also what is very special about this episode is we're going to go deep in the business part of being a musician, and Pinar is kind and brave enough to give us hints about her plans, about the way she uses her budget and her time and her energy. And I think only for that, all of us who listen needs to go right now to her Instagram and write down Pina Berlin and give her a follow.
Woo! Do it.
Do it. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Ohad.
How are you doing?
I'm very tired today.
Yeah, have some cacao.
Yeah, we just had some 99%. That woke me up a little.
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank
There is
you.
also a lot of fat, so it like slowly wakes up. It's not.
That's right. It doesn't give you the push. Yeah, it's you have to really use your energy gradually, and if you're gonna push, you have to really plan time to relax after that. That's really important. I realized
Self-care.
self-care. Yeah, because I had my fair share from pushing too much, and yeah, in the end, it doesn't matter what you achieve. Sometimes it does, but in the end, if you pay with your health, so you sometimes think, did it really worth? Yeah, it was for me. It was a hard couple of years. Okay, we started talking about energy and efficiency, so
Yeah,
maybe
why not?
I will keep on going on that one.
But what do you mean when you said you were pushing yourself too much?
How
How do you measure too much?
Well, there was this time around 4 years ago. Once upon a time, in 2018, I was working full-time in architecture, and I had finally gathered the energy after finishing university and started working to finally getting back to music after my thesis. It was like a year break. Before that, I had applied to music schools. I did like a couple of months preparation.
Maybe you want to give a bit of background about yourself, so the
Yeah.
audience have a little bit of idea.
I just started with the most depressive part of my life.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's have even more depressive part. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah. What was I telling in the first take? Yeah, it was. You asked me.
I asked you where you're coming from and how the music journey began.
Right.
And it was this question, this very deep question.
Yeah, I think it's a better place to start. Yeah, I'm coming from Turkey. I grew up in a city as big as Berlin. That's called Bursa, close to Istanbul. And yeah, how I began with music, I have like little childhood memories. I don't know, but it was like since forever for me. But I have these couple memories like dancing in front of the television when like the music channels were on. There was
MTV.
MTV, and there was Kral TV in Turkey with Turkish music. And like I used to dance in front of the television all the time and like try to memorize the choreographies and stuff. And I also remember like with listening to music with my dad. I think it was even I think it was a CD called Italian Chord Composers, and there was a piece by Albinoni, if I'm saying it right. And we were like imagining what this piece of music awakes in us and how we imagine the music taking place in, or what images come to our minds. And I was like imagining big castles to that music. And I think that was the first moment where I started combining architecture to music, apparently. And yeah, and I really liked that dream world. And ever since I loved to be on stage. I used to put on like clothes and get onto the window from the balcony and report the weather to my parents.
How old were you when you did it?
I was like 5 or 6.
You were one of those kids that everyone just were happy to see because you did so many stuff.
I don't know. I mean, I was very social. And every time we went to a holiday, you know, those family holiday inns where there's like these child clubs and stuff, I always used to participate in those theater pieces and like go on stage and sing and dance.
Were you a loud kid?
What?
Were you a loud kid?
A loud one?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was like, I wasn't like very dominant, I think, like in my surroundings. I mean,
You knew what you wanted and you got it.
yeah, I was, from the way they tell me, I don't really remember, but and the later my life, I know, of course, but I was apparently always able to find, keep myself busy, you know. Even when I was 2, my mom tells me that she had to go somewhere, and her aunt had to take care of me, and she just gave me a piece of newspaper, and I just like played with it for 3 hours. I don't know what I did, but I could like keep myself busy and like paint. I was one of those kids who stayed home all the time, of course, like painting, dancing, singing. I wasn't really one of those who went outside to play. My parents sometimes tried to bring me outside to play with other kids, and I wasn't like that. I don't know, I played volleyball for like 7 years in the end, but I think that was also
Volleyball?
yeah.
Oh, with the hands.
Yeah.
Oh, it's more like the up from the
Well,
down, right?
I think
Or what's the
they
difference?
took me because I was just the tallest one for a long time. I wasn't very, very talented in volleyball, but yeah, it was fun. But for me, it was mostly like I remember making choreographies in primary school or stuff like that, and dreaming about. I was actually dreaming a lot about choreographies and really wanting to be a musical singer. You know, like singing, acting, dancing all together. Wow, my dream.
Who did you saw first that inspired you to do so?
Which musical?
Was it the general culture, pop, the pop culture that dominated this time? Like what kind of?
I
hits do you
think
remember?
it was of course the pop culture, and what like in all the music videos from then there's like dance choreography, you know.
Which songs do you remember that were big hits?
Yeah, I mean I was of course a big Spice Girls and
Spice
Britney
Girls.
Spears fan as a girl from 90s. And I think I remember I loved NSYNC and Backstreet Boys too, and Robbie Williams and Ricky Martin,
Ricky Martin, yeah.
Shakira, Enrique
How did you
Iglesias.
feel when you discovered that he's gay? Were you disappointed? How many hearts did he broke when he said that he was gay?
I think
Still is.
I was more in love with Robbie Williams,
Mm.
I guess. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? It was hard for me to reach him anyway.
Robbie
Yeah.
Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, this area is really creative. The 90s, there's something very special there.
Yeah, it's like I think it is somehow like, the 50s in the US, I think, like that rock and roll culture starting right after the Second World War, and like that strategy of making people forget about that depressing time and war. So like how the entertainment business boomed. And so it was like a very colorful, happy looking television time. And I think 90s was also kind of like that, maybe like after the crisis and wars in the 70s. And 90s was also in Turkey. It was like a weird time. I mean, somehow happy and more relaxed and free than now. I mean, you wouldn't believe the kind of music videos you would see from Turkey in the 90s.
Like what?
I don't know, like the body language and costumes and dances. Now there are even more like courageous stuff. I don't know, let me say it carefully. But there's also a lot of self kind of censorship going on in the art scene also, like in the mainstream pop at least. And it's a bit sad. I mean, not a bit. But yeah, the 90s was a weird, funny time. And like there were no cell phones yet, but it was like technical enough, like enough technology, but not enough to like get sucked into it. I don't know. It was a very innocent time, and probably because I was a kid. But I think it was like the peak celebration of globalization.
Yeah, I think so
Somehow.
as well. Also, music-wise, somehow the sound really improved in the 90s.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Britney Spears, it's one guy, the same dude who did the music for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he made sure that everything sounds really good. I think also in this time he mixed himself. And then
Wow.
you had Dr. Dre somewhere around the late 80s, 90s. He also
Mm,
made the low end in the songs really juicy
yeah.
and beefy. And then you had all those other producers that came, and they had also like if Dr. Dre made something like that, that someone else came and he fixed other problems that Dr. Dre
Yeah.
could not even address. Until
Yeah.
we got to this level today where you have sometimes if there is a good mixer, it's flawless and it's very pleasing to listen to music like that.
Yeah. Well, it's an endless the things you can do
Yeah,
nowadays.
but it's also yeah, it's because of globalization. I think the way we share information got so fast
Yeah.
since the 90s, since maybe the wall of Berlin fell down, then everything started to accelerate in the world. But I don't know, I was just
Mm.
born when it happened.
Yeah, it was a lot of things happening probably at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Um, Yeah, so I think yesterday actually I was applying for some concert, congress concert, open call, and I was asked what is my or who is my target audience, and I was thinking, who could it be? And then I wrote, what did I write? Yeah, like people and audience who somehow lived in the 90s or had their childhood around the 90s. And because I feel like there was, like in Turkish pop, there was such an great huge influence from like Spanish music and flamenco. Like there were so many flamenco guitar players in Turkey, and like so many songs like that. And one of my songs is also like that. It's you could put it in the 90s and you would believe that it's from there probably. And I don't know, I really liked that kind of references everybody took from each other in music. Or maybe it wasn't even that eclectic, the music, but like you had access to a lot of stuff and it peaked, yeah. So yeah.
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 Yeah, also CDs became digital, and when they became digital, then everything really changed.
Yeah,
It was
when
really
we were
easy to
able to
consume it.
download the
To
stuff.
download, oh yes, that's when everything really
Yeah, it
accelerated up or down. I'm not sure. It depends what is your perspective.
yeah, you first had your Walkman and then the CD player and
Yeah.
then like the iPods.
Yeah, I remember those MP3 players that you just
Yeah.
have a USB stick and you have those
Yeah.
colors on the display.
Yeah.
And
And you
had-
really had to like decide which songs you were gonna take on that trip.
Yeah, you had limited space. 128 megabytes.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. And then what happened with music? So you were as a kid and then you grew up, you came to high school, you had some
Yeah, I mean, I was
theater.
always in like choir or
Yeah.
like singing with friends, or like when I had birthday parties, I would make them dance to my choreographies. Poor kids. And in high school, I kind of found myself. It was one of the German high schools in Istanbul, the state high school.
A German high school.
Yeah.
What is your connection to Germany?
Well, I mean, I have some relatives here, and my grandpa came here like in the 50s for 1-2 years. But it is like a system in Turkey that you have to take an exam to get into high school, and then you have to like make a choices of the schools you want to go to, and like they're called something like elite schools or like known schools with good points that also send students to good universities. Somehow, I don't know, they became popular. And they were like old schools, and of course, like in Turkey, studying or going to a school with a second language is like always looked up and great thing for your future and stuff. So it was like, okay, there's the French school, there's the German school, and there are other great schools as well. So I just did the ranking, according to the order, and that's where I ended. I actually wanted to go to the French school because they were more artistic, and there are a lot of known artists from that school in Turkey. And I was like, yeah, because I was always
French over German anytime for me.
artistic. Yeah, and from the German school, it was always like engineers, really, really, really
Yeah.
cliche.
It's the language, the way the language is, and this is how you think. Because you use the language to shape your thoughts or to shape the
That's
reality
true.
around you,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, really, in the German school, we only had there is like you have to choose mathematics and and natural sciences, or Turkish and mathematics and social sciences, in the 10th grade. And in our school, the social science department was only like 15 people, whereas in the French school it was like half, I think. So it's funny how cliches kind of sometimes work, but
It's based on something, somehow.
yeah.
That's why they're cliches.
Yeah, but the school was amazing. They had like these culture weeks, film festivals, and bands, and like they had this jazz band and theater club, and I went crazy. I found myself. And for the first year, they had this preparation class where we only learned German before we started with high school. It's really, I mean, it was also hard to learn German, but you didn't have any other really class where the notes were important, because it's like it didn't exist in the system, this thing. So in the first 2 years, I was crazy, like involved in all the clubs that could possibly be. They had this MUN, Model United Nations. We like did debates and
In German?
that was in English.
All right.
And then there was also a German musical club, or I think it was German theater club, but they did musicals. And we had to like organize this culture week ourselves, and had to find sponsors, and we invited like orchestras from other high schools in Germany or other lands, or other German high schools in other places. Oh, yeah, it was so cool, and like famous musicians and bands came to play in those festivals.
Nice.
It
It's a good
was the
experience for a kid to organize something like that.
yeah, like having the courage or like
Yeah.
taking it to call a big firm to ask, yeah, I'm from this school. We would like to ask if you would like to sponsor. And it was a lot to do, but I mean, like, it was like, I think we had school until 3 p.m. and after that it was all these clubs. And in the end, I ended up in the jazz rock band and in the theater club. And yeah, I don't know, like we did, like, there was this literature magazine we printed, and I mean all the schools have stuff like that, but I don't know, it was like a really, really nice
My
time for
school did
me.
not have a printed magazine.
No,
We did
yeah.
not study German at all.
I don't know, it was definitely a big luck for me to end up there, I think, because I also met like people who really inspired me. We had this mentoring system we call abi abla in Turkish. It's like,
Abi abla.
yeah, it's like,
Really? Abi abla.
I mean, abi is called like older brother and abla is older sister, because we were also in the dorm. I don't wanna keep on going about this topic because I could go longer. And but it was somehow nice to like having that someone to ask questions to, or like it really felt like they got you under their wings somehow. And
Yeah, it's important to have people who guide you and support you and coach you.
yeah,
People who really know their shit.
yeah, like we had this classical guitar playing Abi, 2 years older than us actually. Now we don't say that anymore, but he like taught us counterpoint when we were 16. I don't remember any of it now, but it was somehow like, we call it, say in Turkish, brain opening.
Yeah.
And in the end, in the 10th grade, I was so exhausted from all these clubs because actually, right, like now, I was in the lunch break. I would run to the lunch place just so I don't have to wait in the line. And I would eat a soup very fast so that I can get to my rehearsal after that, because we had this half an hour or the 40 minutes lunch break. Or I would go eat fast and I would go to the other meeting of the other club. I was always running. And
Why eating? Stay fast.
I don't know. I gained a lot of weight though. I ate a lot of Snickers in the evening.
Snickers, yeah, I cannot blame it. It's so tasty.
Yeah.
It's perfect. How can you not be addicted to it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Really perfectly engineered to be satisfying.
I ate like 2-3 Snickers a day. I gained 15 kilos in the first year because also like in dorm, and the girls' dorm opened like new because they were staying in another place and they're closed, and that was like in a temporary place
You
where
were living in a dorm in high
yeah,
school?
yeah.
Cool.
It was like 3 minutes away from the school.
And how far were you from home?
I was 1.5 hours. The school was in Istanbul, and every weekend I took the ferry to go home. But we were like 15 kids from the same town or city, so we took the ferry
It
together.
must be nice to be far away from the parents.
Yeah, I really wanted to be free.
Freedom. Yeah, exactly.
I was preparing for that exam. I remember I was the school president because I wanted to become president, of the land.
Of the school president.
And I started with that, and it was so funny. And I really wanted to have that school book, yearbook, and because my school also had a high school
What
then.
did you have to make it or to be there?
To make the yearbook.
You yourself be the maker of it, so you decide the design and.
No, I didn't design it, but like the school didn't want us to have something like that because they also had a high school, so they were like, yeah, you're gonna keep on staying here, you don't need this. And like I was like, no, I'm going to Istanbul. And I mean, I really wanted to have that memory from that time. And so I remember my parents went with me to my back then a weekend course, because you have to go to these weekend and evening courses from like when you're 13 or 12 in Turkey to succeed or get good grades in these exams.
You were one of those smart kids? in
I mean,
school?
I kind of was a nerd. I think I would
Okay.
say a nerd, but I
Nerd.
mean, everybody has to go to these extra courses. So it's
Everybody.
yeah, like in
But is the
Turkey,
school is like a high performance school, you could say?
the high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that it was
It was
like.
not for average kids. It was kids who had a bit extra effort in studying.
I mean, there were a lot of. I mean, there were smart kids. Yeah, who they were all like kids who got like good grades. And it was like I don't want to talk too much about this, but like
Yeah, what are we talking
it's
about?
it's like it was like the second or third ranking school when you write this exam.
Alright.
Take this write
Oh,
this
this
exam.
is really
I'm German
impressive.
already.
It is
Yeah, I
very
mean, it
impressive.
was like because actually, what I was gonna say was I was so soaked up in and like designing those pages, like memory pages from my class and doing Photoshop before like 2 months before the exam. My mom was like, "Okay, stop it now. You have to practice, learn for the exam." And I was like doing okay in the weekend course. But I was like, I really wanted to have that book, and I was like working with Photoshop. So now I'm thinking, like, with that experience from then with Photoshop, and I'm still doing Photoshop now for the album. I'm like,
Nothing changed.
I've been waiting for this moment since then. And yeah, so, and we had this like preparation exam or like test a couple of weeks before the real exam. I had a really bad note. I was like, shit, maybe I won't make it to Istanbul. And I really got like, whoa, I really want to go. And then it was actually pretty common that kids get like sick papers for 2 weeks, and you sit down and you practice all day and you like study and like do 500 questions a day. It was like what was it called? Mehrfach, like multiple
How's it
answer
called?
questions.
Mehrfach?
In German, it's mehrfach.
Mehrfach.
Something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Mehrfach.
Multiple
Yeah, just to
answer.
grind everything.
You have to learn
Like
a
the
lot of
four
things.
answers, yeah, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get the
yeah.
correct one. Okay, yeah.
And it's
American
also
questions or something like that.
yeah.
But the grind is important, you know. I don't know if you need to be young enough. Like, if there is a minimum age you need to be exposed to grind. But there is something about the grind that if you do something for a long time, and you do it again and again and again and again, you have a different idea about it. It looks different. You have better understanding of it. You have deeper understanding of the same thing that you grinded.
I mean, if you learned it just by heart and forget it after 2 months, it doesn't make much difference.
I'm not talking about heart.
Yeah.
If you learn it by heart and then you forget everything, then you don't really gain something.
Yeah.
But let's take for example, if you practice the same song for
Yeah.
1,000 times. And
Yeah,
if you
of
practice
course.
a song for 100 times.
Yeah. I mean, for music you can say it, but like that system, I really don't support that system because it's like one exam defines your future.
Yeah, this is shit.
So if you're sick on that day, you fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
No, there must be a second time to have the test.
No.
It's
It's
impossible.
the one and only time that, and
No.
then
But
you
what if
end
you
up in
broke
a
your bone or
school. I
something?
mean, that might not be right for you, you know?
It's impossible. They don't give you a second chance.
It is like that.
It must be justified. Something.
There is a second chance in the university exam. You can take it the next year.
But what if let's say your mom died or something?
Yeah.
You must take the test. You don't give a fuck about it.
And then
it's
you're just
impossible.
unlucky. It's
What if you have
horrible
diarrhea on
to
the same
live
day?
something like that with 15 years old.
If you have diarrhea on the same day.
Yeah.
So you go there, you have diarrhea in the class, but you must do the test. They don't care about it. This is ridiculous. Wow, it's really harsh.
I don't know what happens if you're like sick and get a doctor's sick. Maybe you can repeat the year and then take the exam again, but you also lose a year. So I never heard of it.
And did you always wanted to be a professional musician? Was it something that you had a dream to make money from it? I don't know if making money is something that the kids think about, but maybe just to keep on doing that.
That's a topic I've been actually thinking about for a long time. What it means to be a musician or a professional musician, because it took a long time for me to be able to call myself a musician. So it was like, but I didn't study. But I mean, I'm not earning enough money or my life from music. So, and like I see all these people doing it full time and like earning their life money from music, and like people who studied it, I was like always, I'm not a real musician, you know. And
What is a real musician?
what is a real musician?
What is a real musician?
I mean, if I think now, after a long time of thinking about it, if you are creating, for me, it's kind of, I mean, if you could also be like a classical violin player and just playing the sheet music. You're also a musician. It doesn't have to be, you have to create and write your own songs. But this is a way of doing it.
If you're creating your own song, you're a songwriter.
Yeah, you're a songwriter. And if you are like, I don't know, if you feel it in your heart, then you are a musician, you know?
Can you be a songwriter without being a musician?
I think songwriter is for me like an under category, and musician is like the bigger, more bigger term.
I think musician is someone who can control the music theory. Not control, handle, I don't know. Know how to manipulate that.
Well, okay, then maybe I'm not a real musician because my theory knowledge is like very scattered around all the place. I learned a little there and a little there. I tried to learn it myself.
It's always like that, you know, little here, little there. But in general, if you have knowledge about the whole mechanics of music,
it doesn't have to be the knowledge, maybe, because the way I wrote my songs until recently was just by ear, and actually not even like I used to take the ukulele. I used to write lyrics to songs that I liked when I was little. So maybe that's how it kind of started, wanting to like write songs, but I didn't really write songs until I was like 23. And my back then boyfriend gave me a ukulele so that I can finally accompany myself, because I was only playing saxophone until then, and you can't sing with that. And so singing was kind of my main thing. And then I made like a folder of like some songs I like, and there was this amazing website where you can also see the shapes of the chords you have to play right on top of the words. It was amazing. That's how I kind of tried to learn ukulele and the chords. And then they kind of inspired me in some parts that I liked. And then if I got inspired by a part of a bridge of a song, and I kind of started, or I always used to like hum melodies and record it to my phone. I had like thousands of voice recordings, which I didn't really listen to later. But sometimes, like if I had an idea, I would try to work on it, or like not try, but like when I was riding my bike and I had the idea, or when I'm in the bathroom at work, I would go and just record. And somehow, actually, I think it started at jam sessions. There was this jam session called Keller in Neukölln back in 2013. And when I was coming back home from Neukölln to Charlottenburg, 45 minutes in the bus. And I think that year I didn't have a smartphone. Because, when you have a phone, you just look at it. So I didn't have a smartphone, and I had my paper and pen, always a notebook. And then I kind of started writing, or writing on the stage, because it was a pretty free session. It kind of started as jazz, but then it got rocky and some other people came. In the end, it was very improvised, and we kind of did grooves, and I started to sing some melodies or words, and then it kind of inspired me, so I kept on trying to do that. And that's kind of how I started to write songs. And then at home, when I came and I had these words, it was mostly I wrote words first, because I was so overwhelmed by that scene, and that in the night. It's like meeting those people and clicking with them and sharing those moments, like
Magic
magical
moments.
moments, and making music together was so inspiring. And then, yeah, I was so inspired and wrote those words and came home. And with the ukulele, I was like trying to find nice shapes that sounded good to me. And then I always, when you look into my notebooks from then, there are words and then these shapes of diagrams of shapes. So I had no idea what I was writing. A lot of my songs from the album are actually written like that. Of course, we had to correct some stuff later.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. I think if you write good songs, you don't have to be a musician in order to write good songs.
Yeah, but then again,
Yeah,
who's a musician, you know?
whoever makes music is a musician. You can think about it.
You know, there are like kids from gypsy families who
Yeah.
learn to play the violin. I don't know if I'm allowed to say gypsy.
Why
Is
not?
it political correct anymore?
We don't hate gypsies. I love gypsies.
Yeah, me too. But
They're great. So how should we call them?
in German, they say Roma rather, I think.
Roma.
Yeah.
I don't know. Roma.
Anyway, so you learn like by ear playing the violin when you're 3, and maybe they never write music and notes. Some of them, and then they do.
I think this is something else. I mean, you have the actual music theory, and if you can know how to use the music theory, you are a musician. But I think the underlying of music, the way it's been created, it's not something that we need to learn how to do it. It's something that is within us, and we just express it.
Yeah, I think if you
Yeah.
have like music in you, and if you're willing to express yourself with music, I think then you're a musician. That's
Yeah,
a
exactly.
good
You can play
thing.
music, but you don't need to have musical theory in order to do that. Like you did with the chords. I mean, you know what it sounds like, you know how it feels for you, but you don't know what kind of chord is it. Is it major? Is it minor? It's not really matters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's all about making the puzzle complete in the end, and to have a song that can give you the swing of the emotions of the moment that you try to put out to
Yeah.
people so they can experience.
I think you might maybe be able to differentiate between hobby musician and professional musician, or like having that ambition ever
The ambition.
to like release, or because I mean
There are
don't
many
know.
people who are not professional, they would say they're amateurs, but they still release music.
Yeah, I mean like me. I'm not really
What would you
earning
say-
my complete life.
All right, so would you say
music.
professional musician is someone who earns money from music?
That sounds like that. Profession
Yeah.
is like, what's your profession? What do you earn your bread with?
But is it someone who makes money, or is it more like an attitude that you have towards something?
Yeah, that's what I meant with with ambition, like that you want to achieve something, that you want to like. It could be also like just achieving, like reaching out to people, but like.
The passion, the drive, what is it exactly?
I mean, maybe we could differentiate between like people who gather with friends and jam and play cover songs in a band once a week for fun. Or now I feel myself also like discriminating again. But I think if you want to call yourself a musician, if you want to be a musician, then you're a musician. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And then you have that ambition to move forward, learn more, create more, then you're a musician. I don't know. I really want to accept that because of the hard time I had for calling myself a musician, because it really messed with my pride and ego, kind of. I mean,
In what way?
you know, like about trusting myself, because it was a kind of a way when I said, I'm not a real musician, I work in architecture, but I like to sing.
Yeah, how did you get into architecture? When you were a kid, you said that you mixed music with architecture.
Well, apparently that's not
Yeah.
what I realized now talking to you.
Oh.
But
You're welcome. But then what? How did it happen that she said, "All right, I'm going to study architecture and I'm going
Yeah.
to put music aside"? Did you have this thinking that you cannot make money from music and it's just for
Well, I mean,
for
it's
fantasy world?
it's
Yeah.
the standard thing, and like also in Turkey, maybe even more than here. The the culture is like you can't really earn money with music. You
In
really
Turkey,
need
really, it's a
your
huge country. Istanbul is huge. How many people living there?
more than 20 million probably now.
Someone needs to entertain all those people.
Of course, but like the families think like can't earn money enough. And I think in the 90s that they were all fine, but I mean now it's hard anyway, but everywhere in the world. But it was like you need your golden bracelet. It's called in Turkish, like to earn your money. The whatever, like if something bad happens or if you don't succeed, and yeah, it's like also the argument about of being told, yeah, but there are those kids who do it since they're 3 years old and learning the piano or from their families, and then you will never be able to be as good as them, and they're gonna be the best anyway, so why try, kind of attitude. And I actually really wanted to become a musician. I was taking classical singing classes. Actually, I wanted to learn jazz vocal, and then I talked to a jazz singer, and she said, yeah, she should start learning classical and technique first. And when I was like 16, and I started taking lessons for 3 years. I also enjoyed it really, and my teacher back then believed that I could probably get into music schools in Germany for classical voice. And then I was actually thinking, yeah, I will just, because that was like that's what I was telling when I was 10 in the 10th grade. I was so tired of all these activities. I quit everything, including theater and the team and everything. So I said, I'm just gonna do music now. And I was like in the back of the class just reading and stuff all the time, and I really got into like the 60s movements and music, nerded on YouTube about all that. And then so I was like really, I wanted to become a musician and a singer. But then, so I was thinking, okay, I knew I wanted to go to Berlin, like study in Berlin. I live here, I don't know, I just wanted to go there. I came to visit a friend of mine who was already studying here, and I was really mesmerized. I collected some of the flyers and postcards from like A-Train, Quasimodo, like those when you come as a tourist, the places where you listen to music and jazz. And like the West, what's it called again? The stage, the West, Theater des Westens, the musical flyers. So I collected all these things and made a wall or like a little collage of them. Cool. And I always used to put it on my bed when I was studying for the Abitur, for the exams in high school, because that was my motivation to go to Berlin.
And here you are in Berlin.
Yeah.
Doing music.
That kind of worked out. I was thinking I will go to Berlin and study something and do music. But then I had to apply for, there was a scholarship opportunity for our, for like German schools from the ARD. And I didn't know the application phase was gonna be that early. It was like in January, and the classes or the exams were going to be done in April. And all of a sudden I was like, I had to decide what I was gonna study in like a week. And I was like, shit, what am I gonna study?
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. And I remember sitting down with my parents for a couple of days in the living room and brainstorming. And I went to like this like career tests, and talk to that person and like to my teachers at school.
What is the right thing for me?
Yeah,
I don't want to get it wrong.
Test. Actually, in the test, it's funny because the first thing that said musician that came out from the test, and the second
I will ignore it.
Yeah, and the second
you have
thing,
sense from the universe. Come on.
Yeah, it's a bit funny because I had to like take good grades from Abitur so I can go to Deutschland, Germany, and get the scholarship. But at the same time, I didn't really have time to prepare for any other thing. So I was also thinking about maybe applying for an industrial design, but you also had to prepare like a portfolio for that. I didn't have time for that. So I should have maybe tried the next year, but there was this concept of not losing any years in Turkey, like you have to study, and then exam, study, finish, family, and then life goes on.
So this is the course in Turkey.
And
Courses in life.
yeah, and so in the end, it ended up like, and the first thing the test said was musician. The second thing was a doctor, because my parents are doctors. Apparently, it wasn't me. And the third one was architect. And a lot of my teachers also said, I mean, you're good in physics and mathematics, but you're also very creative. So architecture sounds like great for you. And when I think of it, actually, if I didn't have that obsessive feelings about music, maybe architecture was really the right thing for me. But both of them, they don't really work well together, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. But so sometimes I was like thinking, I should have just studied like BVL or like economics or like I don't know, something else. Which, I mean, all those studies are hard, but architecture was like every second week we had deadlines. We had to make the night shifts at the university. Like the first 3 years, I didn't have time for nothing at all.
Only architecture.
Only architecture. It's like, and it's also a creative thing, when you're criticized, you really take it personally because you design something.
But what do you do so much that it takes all of your time?
Yeah, it's, a lot of...
How can it be creative if you don't have space?
A lot of it is Fleißarbeit in architecture. You think you brainstorm with your team or yourself and sketch, and then you have the idea, and then you have to sit through the night to draw it. Drawing takes so much time.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. That's how I developed my series watching addiction. Or like movie watching, I watched all the movies of like Barbara Streisand, and then I don't know, I took like
how does it connect it to architecture and drawing?
Well, I could watch something while I was drawing because when you're drawing, you don't have to think. So it was too boring for me.
What do you mean you don't have to think? You don't need to make sure the lines are correct and the shapes?
Yeah, I mean, the program does it anyway. And
I do it on the PC.
Of course, yeah. And the first semester we only drew on the paper. But still, I would watch something because I don't know. I need... The only thing when I don't have to have a second thing going like a radio or something else is when I do music. Because it can really occupy all the corners of my brain and satisfy me that I don't need another entertainment. I think I have a little ADS. I know that, but also that's why also sometimes I was like slower, of course, because I mean you didn't give your whole attention to it.
Yeah, this is important actually, to bring the whole attention. But I'm also a slow learner. Maybe not a slow learner, but I get things slow sometimes. But once I get it, it's there.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about it. At least I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I wish architecture was like that, just getting it. My best class was in the university was construction, like physics and mathematics. Because sometimes I really like 2 times 2 makes 4. And when
you have crazy equations there and you need to make some calculations.
Yeah, but still you can trust it that it works in the end if you got it right. And in arts, I think that's why it really made me like in German they say like hat mich fertig gemacht. Because like you design and you dream and you do something and then you get a bad grade, and then when you ask the people, they say but it's just a matter of taste. And you're like,
do you
what?
think so? Is it a matter of taste?
One of the assistants at the university told me that when I asked them why didn't I why did I get that such a bad grade from my design? He said, yeah, the professor has a different style. I think it's a matter of taste.
But then they cannot give you a bad grade. Then maybe the way that you're
it's
being
not
judged,
ethical.
it's not, yeah.
So
they
it
can
was
fuck your
like,
whole life with one stupid decision, huh? Just because of ego sometimes.
I don't know.
I'm a professor, I have the only taste that is possible.
Yeah,
My
I mean,
way
in
is
the
the
music,
only
it's
way.
also the same. When you apply for competitions, in the end, the jury decides. Of course, you still have to have the technical abilities, but in the end, when you have everybody
I
else.
think there is a certain, like, a universal law how to do stuff well. There is the universal law about aesthetics, which is the golden ratio. You know this?
Yeah.
And this
if you go out of it and try something new, you're like.
What do you mean?
If you try something new or like experiment and try not to stay in that.
There is nothing wrong with experimenting. There are a lot of I don't know about today. There is also a lot of experiment. But
because you can also discuss about what is art. I mean,
what is art
something
exactly?
Which is not aesthetic enough can also be art.
But then the question in the end: do you want to sell or do you don't want to sell? You can make the most delicious and harmonious dish. And it will be incredible, but you can also make some weird food, but then people might not buy it.
If you market it well, they will buy it. There are a lot of artworks which don't have any aesthetics at all, and it's like more a statement, and it becomes such an object of fetish that people pay a lot for it.
Yeah, that's my thing. There is something universal that makes good music and good art. It needs to be satisfying in a way. It needs to bring some emotion out.
Yeah.
And it's something that you cannot really... I cannot put my finger on it. And I think it's really impossible. It's elusive. It cannot be held in the hand. It's not something I can say, this is it. But if I hear the music, if I hear it somewhere, I can tell you, oh, they have it. If you understand this, you realize that Slayer and Britney Spears have something in common. And if you cannot see that, you're not ready yet to understand this universal law. Because both of them, it depends how you look at it. Production-wise, they're really well made. One of them is more evil, talking about death and about executions and suffering and torture. And the other one is talking about a teenager who's falling in love and she don't want to feel rejected. But in the end, one of them is evil. There is harsh feeling. Everything is sharp, fast. The other one is more dense, more moving the body a little bit. But both of them, they're very good expression of some human emotion.
Yeah.
And the way they've been made, it's something that can penetrate our hearts, our minds, our being in the way they made it.
Yeah, the question is, it should be reachable. The thing is now that there are so many musicians around the world and everybody can release their own music, how will you reach the people?
It's the question.
And
how
in
do
the
you
end,
think
it's
you can reach the people?
the question of marketing in the end. I'm so sad about it.
So wait, you decided to go music full time when? What time was it? When you said, fuck architecture, I want to destroy buildings and make music?
Yeah, well... I don't know. I think I was like trying to do everything by the book and get everything that was planned and like get to a point of freedom, real freedom. Somehow, I don't know. And yeah, I tried a couple of times. Like I think like the first 2-3 years in the architecture school, I was always that's cool and even when I remember going to bars with my friends and having my laptop with me and drawing next to them. I didn't have much friends anyway. I used to hang out with my boyfriend's friends.
But if you go to a bar with a laptop, you will not have a lot of friends. Yeah, we go to a bar, we just keep doing homeworks.
Yeah, it was a weird time.
But you have this drive, you cannot rest until you get what you want to do. Or until your goal is being set.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, I'm a workaholic and I'm a nerd. I'm that girl that works and studies when you tell her do that. I do it.
Yeah, I'm also a nerd. Yeah, I love to be a nerd. It's good to have knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But when was
But
it that you decided to quit studying? Like a year ago, 2 years ago?
well, I studied. I finished everything. Well, I was
Ah,
always
so you
I
studied, you finished, you have a
I
diploma?
worked in architecture for like
Oh,
5 years.
okay.
So I'm a professional architect. But when I was in a master's, I was like, okay, I really need to get out of here, and I actually thought that I was gonna move every 5 years to somewhere
Masters, you
else.
mean
In architecture.
it's the second degree, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then I wanted to do an exchange semester, and then I found like a university that had program with our architecture faculty in the US, in Western Massachusetts, close to Boston, and then I got a scholarship and I went there. But the scholarship I got from the DAAD or DAAD, from the German institution, they said, yeah, okay, we're not gonna support you going to somewhere else. So the what's it called? The scholarship had to end after that, and I was like, okay, I will come back and start working as a student then. But I really wanted to do it.
In the US.
And yeah, I mean, after the exchange semester. So I went to the exchange semester, and there was the opportunity to take classes from the jazz department. And I was like, yes, that's what I was waiting for, because I was dreaming, okay, when I go to the university after that school full of clubs, I was dreaming, yeah, there's going to be music club, there's going to be choir, there's going to be like theater, because there are a couple of schools where my friends in Turkey went to in Istanbul, and they all have all these clubs. I was so jealous after I found out that in Berlin, in the university, nothing happens. I mean, there are some clubs, but not like that. I went to the theater course once from TU Sport. It wasn't a really
Yeah,
theater
no,
club,
yeah.
it's TU Sport. And there were people from doing their doctorate trying to learn public speaking. They had no interest in art, in theater, I was so disappointed. And there was a choir, but it was always like the day before I had to present my project every week, so I couldn't go every time. So I actually ended up going to 1 or 2 times. So it was so sad. Like I could never really get. We only had one band with other engineers from like the blackboard. Some guy was like, yeah, I want to found a
What
jazz
kind of
funk
music?
band.
A jazz band?
Yeah, we played some standards and funk
Cool.
stuff. It was really cool.
Funny.
And we played with them like 3 years. We just met every week, and I was the one always late. I'm late sometimes. I have the academic 15 minutes, so you could say. And yeah, and then in the US, when I was there, there was this chance finally to take classes from the jazz department, because I was thinking, okay, when I come to Berlin, maybe I can get the architecture studies in the UDK, and then maybe it's possible to take classes from the jazz school. No.
No, why not?
You have to take extra exams of each school, of course, to get in. And I don't know if it's possible to study in 2 schools at the same time. Legally. Yeah, I mean,
it's illegal to study in
so
two
like in
schools.
Turkey, you can study part-time.
Okay.
I mean, here you can decide how many courses you want to take anyway, so you can make your own part-time thing. But yeah, I don't know. I also didn't have much time to think of that in the end. So I was like in the school, and yeah, and so yeah, when I was taking those classes from the jazz department there, I really felt comfortable with all those people, and I learned how to write lead sheets and charts for standards I wanted to sing. And we had this combo class, and I was in the jazz vocal choir, and it was really, really nice. In the end, actually, when in the end of the semester, we had the architecture project finish deadline, so I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. And I remember my last lesson in the combo class with the band. I was singing so bad that I cried, and they were like, okay, sing something you want to, and sing well. We don't want to send you home like this. They were such nice people. And then I sang a song which I really knew and didn't learn only for that class for a couple of days. So it was again like architecture against music. That's why it's for me with architecture is a love-hate relationship, because it's creative and it's cool. I mean, I like it too, but it always took music away from me, so it's a bit sad. And so yeah, after I came back, I was like, hey, I really felt good there. And I remember meeting Sheila Jordan. She's like the last legend alive after Quincy Jones, probably, or yeah, I mean Herbie Hancock. There are people who were really cool alive, but Sheila Jones is like from what did I say? Sheila Jordan is a singer from those times. And she's like 90 and still performing. It's crazy.
And you met her there?
Yeah, she made a master class
Cool.
In a community college music festival we went to with the choir, and she sang one song that really made me cry. And later she's told about her life and talked a lot about Bird and Monk and stuff. You would like listen to her with your mouth open. And then she said one thing, that she also worked as a secretary until she was like 55. And she said, yes, you have to support music until it can support you.
Yeah.
And that was like, would you call her a musician until 55? She was one, but she had to work. I mean, a lot of musicians who studied even have to do some other jobs sometimes.
Yeah.
So
it's very tricky to define what is a musician is.
Yeah, I think let's just leave that topic.
Yeah, everyone can define itself.
Yeah, maybe it might be an interesting question to ask for your
the audience, yeah.
For your audience or for your guests, like how they would define it. I really find it interesting.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I will do that.
Yeah, so after she said that, I was like, yes, okay, I know what I am doing architecture now. It gave me purpose, and like it made me kind of believe that it's still possible, because I was thinking like, wow, okay, I studied now 5 years of architecture. How am I supposed to go back to music? And I did not a lot during this time for music. I sang at home. I cried in the night. I wrote songs. I dreamed about something that was unbelievable to me. It was really, really painful. And when I came back, I had only 1 more year left with the university. So I said, okay, I'm also not getting a scholarship anymore, so I don't have the pressure to finish on time, because I had to finish on time in the bachelor. And I just found a job as an architecture student in a firm and applied to do the STUFO, that preparation year or class for the course for preparing for the music school exams. And yeah, it was also a hard time, because I had to work like 20 hours a week in the other job, and I had like 1-2 courses in the university, and I had to learn music theory from scratch in 6 months, and I had to learn how to play the piano. And I learned one Bach piece, and that was it. And I could play a standard with like chords on the left hand and the melody on the right hand, and like I think that's still my level now. But I learned a lot during that time. I had crazy amazing teachers. One of them, I also talked a lot and philosophical about like, okay, how much do I want to be a musician, because I wasn't in their perception doing enough or practicing enough. And I remember in the end that one of the teachers said, I'm actually a pretty good singer for someone who has another job. I was like, what?
What a statement, huh?
I wanna apply for the school and become a real musician. Like he was calling me not a real musician, I think.
Because you had another job.
Or like because I had another job and I didn't do the sacrifice of like prioritizing time, or I don't know. I don't know. I just couldn't, because I like to as much as I have the ideas, I like to concentrate on projects and finish one and move on to the other one. So
Yeah, it's important to focus.
for
It's
me,
very
it was
strong.
really, really hard when I started working, having that 3-year long architecture project, and which never ended and it was stressful all the time. And you never, in the university, you had, the summer pause, and then you would start with a new project. It was
Yeah.
always like a reset. So it kind of burned me out in the end. And yeah.
Especially if you don't want to do that, so it doesn't
Especially,
give you
yeah.
energy back. It just takes away from you.
Yeah, I mean, what happened in the end was I applied for the music schools, and only in Hamburg I passed the exam and became, I think I was the third one. We were 3 people who passed the exam, but they only took one person, and the other person went to another school. She passed all the exams. She's a crazy one, and so I wrote myself to the waiting list for the next year, but somebody has probably already had a better note, because I remember the theory ear training and the piano teachers there in the exam telling me, yeah, I was like saying, yeah, I learned everything like in 6 months. Sorry. And they were telling me, yeah, okay, if you learn this in 6 months, I'm sure you will learn everything fine. And then you start here. And we see you have a good grade in the singing. So you'll be fine. We let you pass.
Cool.
Well, I wasn't enough, actually, my knowledge for the exam, but they let me pass. It was a really nice reassurance, kind of like giving a go, somebody believing kind of that I could do it or have the potential. But and it was also a special thing because in Hamburg they have this program, half classical singing, half jazz, and it was like right for me. I had the classical background, I could sing classical pieces like with the real technique. And also the jazz vocal teacher there, he also had studied architecture before.
Oh, wow.
And then he acted in musicals, and then he became a jazz singer.
It's your role model.
It was like, whoa, man, I love you. It was,
Same.
we got along so well in the exam.
This is signs of the universe that you're on the right path,
Yeah, well, this was
Sure.
7 years ago. I think it was 2015. Oh my God, it's 8 years
7
ago.
years ago, you
I'm
quit
so
completely?
old. No, 7 years ago, I took this exam. But I mean, I didn't get into schools. So in the end, I went back to
Architecture.
I finished my school, because I also, as a non-European person, you have to think about your visa. Without school, I mean, I could have also quit and find a job. I would also get visa, but I'm someone who always wants to take things like guarantee things. So when I finished school, and it was also like my last chance or last try to combine architecture with music, so I made a master thesis about the perception of visual surroundings and effect of the audio surroundings. So I did like a psychoacoustic and slash art project, and did an installation in the end with the videos we made and the recordings with the head that we recorded with. It was really much fun, but I also like lost myself in it. I kind of quit music for that time. So I don't know. I really have to concentrate, and I like getting into nerding into one thing, apparently. So yeah, and after that, I started working, because when you study something in Germany, you kind of have to work in the same field to be able to get your permanent visa in 2 years. Otherwise, it has to be like 4 or 5 years.
All right.
And then I was like, okay, 2 more years, and then I'm free. And then I can quit and do whatever I want. It's weird waiting all the time for that, but it apparently was important for me to have everything secured, but that being my priority took a lot of things away from me, and that I realize later.
But it makes sense because now you have the resident, right?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm a German citizen.
Ah, even better.
So
you don't worry
that's
about
actually
everything.
when I decided to quit. So
Yeah.
I didn't have any more paperwork which I could worry about. I mean, it's bullshit actually. Why wait for it? Why? Yeah, I don't know.
It happened like it happened, and
Yeah,
this
and
is
the
the way it
problem was
is.
also after 1.5 years, after half a year, 6 months, I knew I hated the job because it was a really stressful project. My project manager was also very stressed, and I was like, a new graduate, and it was too much for a new graduate. That project, it's the project is doomed. They still asking me questions about that. My old colleagues sometimes. The project is still going, since 2017.
What project?
The project I had when I was started to my architecture job.
The architecture project.
Yeah, and
What is
architecture
it
firm.
exactly?
It's in Berlin. Maybe I shouldn't name it, but
No, right.
it's a project, a faculty project in Berlin. And
Because it's
it's a
inefficient,
renovation.
or because
No, it's a renovation of a building from the 70s.
okay,
It has a lot of problems. It is funded by the state, and state jobs always are slow
Yeah.
anyway. There's not enough money to do everything. So you don't also have like an artistic freedom. You have to do everything efficient and just as good. So, state building. It's okay. And you try to do something out of it if you are an ambitious architect. And I was a give-upper architect somehow, and I found it really sad that like the students had just built a room for mothers and kids, and in the new design there was no such thing. And I was like, hey, what the fuck, we're making a new design and planning it and not including this need of the users. It was completely against my like ethical architecture ethics.
yeah, it's weird.
And because I was like trying to believe at least that I'm serving to people when giving nice places to live in, because for me spaces are very important. Like I spent 6 months last year after I moved making my place a place where I felt comfortable before I finally could start working really on the album again. I don't know, I'm addicted to all these projects.
It's good to have projects.
Well, it can
Keeps you
be.
busy. It's better than, in my opinion, and if someone is offended, maybe you have to check with yourself in the mirror, but it's better than drinking beer and doing nothing at the end of the day. I think it's better to be productive.
Well, you need that too. Because
Yeah, you need that, but it depends what dominates your lifestyle. If you drink beer every day and you get down to this,
it's a
this,
balance thing.
it can be a spiral if you know how to do it moderately and if you chill once a week or maybe twice a week. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to definitely learn how to chill and take time for yourself, because 1.5 years after I started working there, half a year later, I was like, I was waiting to end these 2 years, get my permanent residence and quit that shit. And 1.5 year later, my boyfriend had went to another city, and he was like the person who was responsible for me to chill. Yeah, kind of,
Yeah,
because
it's
like,
important, yeah.
and it's a hard job. But and as he was away, and I had finally started also before that, getting back into the music scene, going to jam sessions, and we had a band. I had like 3 bands at that time. And so when he was away, it went crazy. I was like trying to really establish a base musically for me. It was the summer of 2018, and I had these bands. And
That was the first summer that you had after you quit architecture?
I was still working.
Okay.
I just quit last August. I worked until then.
All right. All right.
So summer of 18.
It's not even a year before you quit. It's like half a year.
Not even a
almost.
year, yeah.
No, almost a bit more. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know when I go back. I might have to go back. So I don't want to talk very certain about things. And that really scares the hell out of me. But let's not get into that now. 2018, I was doing all these bands, and like there was one day a week. It was Tuesdays. I worked like 8.5 or 9 hours. I went out and went to drumming, like percussion course. And after that, with my bike, I went to our band, which was called Brasskartoffeln. We had this brass band.
Baskartoffel.
It was really fun. But it was all very heavy on my hands. And the other days I was going to other jam sessions, rehearsals. I just came home to sleep. And I was trying to organize a lot of concerts for my bands and doing marketing and social media, a lot on the phone. I was like, I was doing a lot of business on my phone on the toilet at work. I used to take my phone and like do social media posts and write emails.
You would escape from work to do it?
Yeah, nah. I mean, I would like maybe if you normally take 5 minutes on the toilet, I would take 10 maybe sometimes. But I did enough after hours, so it's not so bad.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, it's like in architecture, people kind of look like they're working chill because you already do a lot of after hours. It doesn't matter anymore, It's like yeah. Well, and one of those days, my elbow started to hurt, and my brother was there, and he's a drummer, and I was like, really wanted to show him how I can play the percussion and conga. And then the teacher said, yeah, but pay attention, take a pause. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And then it kind of stuck. It started to hurt whenever I wanted to take my backpack on my arm. It hurt the elbow. And it got worse and worse and worse. And at one point, I couldn't use my right hand anymore to work. And my back then manager said, yeah, she also had that before. And then she started working with left hand with the mouse, and it helped. And I started with the left hand. And the orthopedists told me, yeah, that's standard in architects. Yeah, we'll just give you this Epispange, that's called. It's like something you put around your arm that pushes your muscle, so it won't give that much pressure on the tendon.
It gives you some support and pressure.
Yeah, but you can't use it all the time. And they told me you can work with it. And it was bullshit. They should have just written 2 weeks of sick to me, and I should have just rested, Now every time I'm not that angry anymore, but it's still so bad. But I mean, apparently this was the way things had to happen. And then I started to draw with left, and all the other things with the phone and the social media I was doing with left. So in the end, left hand also broke.
Started painful.
So I had both hands.
Just the fact that we hold the phones.
It's bad for
this is
you.
what makes a lot of inflammation and like weird stuff with our tendons in our hands.
Yeah, it's not normal. It's not natural.
It's not normal. No, definitely it's not natural.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the end, I was like sick for 1.5 months. I mean, I couldn't work for 1.5 months. And I couldn't even really pull my trousers up,
Oh, shit.
I couldn't cook, I couldn't eat. It was horrible. And it was a horrible, horrible time. And then I discovered osteopathy, and they told me about trigger points. And I kind of started doing fascia training and fascia massages.
Was it because of stress?
It was also because of stress, because, I wasn't sleeping enough. I was like sleeping 5-6 hours. And I remember talking to my friend and who told me she always has to sleep 8 hours. And I was like, 8 hours? Whoa, that's too much. No, I have to sleep 8 hours. Otherwise I get pain. It's like, I was crazy. I was drinking 3 double espressos and one day. And now I'm not drinking anymore, because I just after my pain has started, I realized that it tenses me a lot.
Coffee, yeah.
And of course, I had a lot of stress at work. I didn't like to work. I was like always swearing about work because it was keeping me. I had to do after hours and cancel rehearsals. It was like I hated it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so in the end, after those 1.5 months, I told them I have to cut hours and go to 30 hours. I should have done it from the beginning, but I was like so afraid that it would be negative for the permanent residency if it would make it longer for me to wait, And it actually didn't do anything. It didn't matter to the Ausländerbehörde if I worked 30 hours or not, or 40. It's like I was just so stupid. And the thing also, after those 1.5 months, I first started going back to 40 hours because it was hard to change to 30 that quickly, paperwork wise. You know, you're sick, you just came from being sick, your hands are still hurting.
Yeah.
I first started with 40. Anyway, I mean, people learn to say, myself first, learn to say no. This disease came to me to learn to say no in the end. And I'm still learning. But yeah, so I started working 30 hours a week, but the rest of the hours I was just going to physiotherapy and osteopathy. The amount of money and time I spent for all these therapies and vitamins and whatever kind of different methods and medicine is endless. I could have made another album with that.
With all the money.
With that money, yeah. And yeah, so it was bad. And then so I was like, in the end, in summer of 19, I finally got my permanent visa. And I was like, okay, I finally can quit, but I was still sick. My hands, I couldn't play an instrument. I could just play like maybe 10 minutes of ukulele and then it hurt. I mean, luckily I'm a singer mainly, but I was really afraid because I mean, if you quit and want to become like full-time musician, you have to do a lot of booking also, and maybe I might have to do solo shows or street music. I wasn't able to do any of that. So I was pretty depressed as well, but I kind of tried to wait for it to become better. And then summer of 20, I said, finally, people, I'm going to take a sabbatical, 3 months off from work, half payment for 6 months for that. It's a great deal. It's cool that it was possible. But I was also like, I kind of used the sickness to ask for that because it's not normal in architecture that you take sabbatical. I was the first one in my firm ever. And so it was like I always had to use that sickness, you know, to ask for stuff or to be able to say no. So it was like I'm still learning. Until I learn to say no, I think it will stick around. And yeah, in the end, right before my sabbatical, 2 weeks before 2020 summer, I twisted my ankle. And I was like, oh shit, but I've had too many stuff to finish at work.
So your elbows were fucked and also your ankle?
Yeah,
oh,
you know, what I did, I went to work.
So unlucky,
like,
wow.
You're like jumping around.
Yeah.
I was like, it will be fine. I twist my ankle all the time. And I went to like rehearsals, jumping around, riding my bike. You know, I should have just canceled. There was like one of the stuff I went to was like a recording I was just doing for help. You know, it wasn't like that also for money or something. I mean, of course, work ethics, money or not, if you say yes to something, I do it. And it's...
Even if you don't feel like doing it?
If I said yes in the beginning... I do it.
But in the middle, if you realize that maybe it's not something I want to do.
It's very hard for me to say no after that point. I don't know. Maybe I'm too strict. Apparently I'm too strict and stiff. I'm still stiff and my body shows. But yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to say, to take a step back from something I promised. If I promise it, I do it. Even if I have to get sick.
What is it about saying no that scares you or that...
Yeah, you can talk to my therapist about that.
Okay, it's deep stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what is so scary. It's like, having the... I apparently I need affirmation, or what's it called? Not affirmation, but acceptance.
Acceptance, yeah.
Like I don't want to leave people alone, or like let them down, or I think like I always used to think you can do everything, whatever you want. I was like convinced if I really take time to learn and practice, I could be the best saxophone player. Like even like I don't have anything to do with drums, but I could be the best if I like put my mind to it.
But this is true. It is possible.
It is, yeah, but you have to calculate some stuff. You can't do it when you're working in another job or something, you know, or it will take more time. and you have to be
But this
okay
is
with
the
it.
challenge.
Yeah.
This is a challenge, and I think here it's also goes to, we can also slowly slide to the marketing
Yeah.
thing here, and see what it's like. From what I hear from you, basically, and it's something that I'm thinking a lot of people are having doing the same mistake, is you try to do everything yourself. You are
Yeah.
the booking agent, you are the manager, you
You
are
are
the
the
sound
graphic
engineer.
artist.
Yeah, you are everything.
Mm.
And I think this is not so good to do everything by ourselves. But also musicians, we don't like to spend so much money, right? As a musician.
Well, I mean, what is like to spend if you don't have the money? You don't
Yeah.
spend. When I was working in architecture, I spent all my money on the album.
All right.
And that was like, it was okay because I knew what I was working for. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm working
Which album?
because
The same album that you have
the
right
same
now?
album. I did the crowdfunding, and even more than what we collected in the crowdfunding, I paid myself. And I don't have any more savings much right now because of that kind of, because I never thought that I would completely quit, actually, because I never thought that I would be that courageous.
Well,
But
surprise, surprise.
in the end, I mean, it took a long time, and it took me to become a German citizen, to have that feeling of security, and it took me to be really sick, and after all these problems with hands and feet, I got chronic fatigue to it and dizziness, and I was like, oh, my body was shouting.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like everything tells you to do something else. And sometimes it comes in ways that are very painful and very uncomfortable. But it's just what it is, you know. If you put your hand on a hot stove, it will be uncomfortable. It will be painful. So you need to move it away.
Yeah, and I was always thinking, when I start to make money from music, and then I will quit. But apparently that was the false way of thinking, because it was hard to be able to make money from music while I was still working, you know.
Yeah.
Also because I also wanted to do all these things for the album, you know. Now I'm thinking I don't have to release 5 singles with each mini clips of 1 minute, but I want to.
Yeah.
So I take my time for it. So fuck that.
Yeah, take your time, do it well. So what are your plans? You have an album that you finished.
Yep. The
So
album
it's
is finished
complete.
and mixed.
All right.
And thank God it took
How many
3
songs are in the
years.
album?
It's gonna be 12 songs. I think 3 of them are demos.
What?
I just
The
wanted to
demos, what?
include demos also.
What is it?
Demo?
Ah, demo. Okay,
Yeah, demo.
sorry.
And then so nine complete songs. 2 of them are already actually out.
Yeah.
And
What are the names of them?
they're called, one of them is called I'll Be Missing You. And when you type I'll Be Missing You, you get Sting or P.
Sting.
Diddy. All the time you have to type Pina Berlin. Exactly.
And you have the video clip as well for I'll Be Missing You.
Yeah.
That you had the premiere in the event that Nate created.
No, it's actually, the video is out there since 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
really?
sent it there to Nate's event from Support Local
It was a really
Music.
cool event.
It was
a
amazing.
huge cinema, and we saw video clips of local Berlin-based artists.
Yeah.
And it was people who were also part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we met way before the podcast. We met 2 months ago, was it? When we
Yeah,
did
like the
photo
beginning
shooting?
of the year.
Yeah, we did photo shooting together for Pinal's promotional stuff for the album.
Yeah.
And then we also met in this event. And also October was there, and Sector 5 were in the podcast. They were the first published episode.
Yeah.
And also Marta, who is incredible. It was really a beautiful event.
Yeah. It was so inspiring, like seeing how people like express themselves or their music visually so differently from each other.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. It was like I'm starting now after years to really feel that singer-songwriter community in Berlin. I used to hang out around like jazz sessions all the time, and it's like it's also a beautiful community, but it's a different thing than what I do. Like my music is more like the singer-songwriter people. And I don't know, I went to a couple of open stages, but I was never in like that, like now. And so it was really cool to see other people like me and meet them and talk to them and
Yeah,
hear
it's a great
their
community.
yeah, it feels good. And it felt definitely because right now I'm like at home all the time working on my computer alone, and
Alone.
you can get like crazy. I mean, I when I was working, I had like somewhat connection to the real life, and now it's weird. So it really does good to go out to these meetups
Yes.
and to those events. And
We
all
need it
those things.
physically to see people
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah.
That's what the podcast does for me. It keeps me sane.
Yeah, and like also meeting people like you.
Yeah, and we talk about stuff, different perspectives.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are your goals with music? What do you want to achieve? How do you know that you're there? How would you be happy?
You're asking the same questions like my psychologist. It's funny.
I wish I would get paid like your psychologist.
Well, I was thinking about what I want to achieve or what I want is for a long time because I really didn't know what I mean, I knew apparently, and I was looking for an opportunity to record my music and play and at live and bring it out there. But yeah, I mean, of course, I want to just the most pure and most heartfelt goal or like wish is to reach people and touch people by my songs, with my songs, by the feelings I share, and because I'm a like big fan of empathy. I think we need more empathy in the world, and I really I used to want to be a film director because I thought film is the best way to reach the most of people. I wanted to like reach as many people as possible in the world to like share peace, you know. Like those 60s kind of hippie stuff. But yeah, I just want to reach out to people and connect, and I just want to perform and be on stage. I had struggled with like somehow sometimes like finding the meaning or forgetting the meaning of what I was doing when we were recording the album because it was the Corona time and we were all at home and recording at home, and I need the stage, not because I'm like I like to dress up and like paint my face and go on the stage and like be under the lights or something, but I really like to connect. I like the other part too, of course, but I really love to connect to the people with the music and share it in that moment. So I was really missing that, and I didn't know for sometimes when I was struggling about music during that time. So I think that's like the main goal.
To be in front of as many people as possible, or to perform.
To be able to perform my music, but also like now that I recorded those songs, like reach to as many people as possible and touch their hearts and also connect through that. I mean, pandemic has shown us, if not other stuff, but for one, that it can do a lot of things that we connect online also or like not personally, and like just one song from somewhere around the world can really touch you and save you. So it's
And how do you reach all those people? This is a big challenge.
that's the big challenge. Yeah.
So what tools do we have to do that? So there is Spotify, it's one tool.
Yeah.
There is video clip, it's also one tool. Website, do you have a website?
Yeah. I think nobody visits that except when I apply for fundings. But
it's a good website. It's a good real estate, like a digital real estate to have.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's still you still need a website. It's
Do you
like
think a musician can be taken serious without a website?
I think yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on
How many
what kind
likes?
of a picture you build or draw in your social media. If you are really like focusing on sharing professional stuff and like with that professional design on your posts, it can look like a website. The
I
website
think a
is
website is something that it's
more
mandatory.
compact because you reach the information you want like with a click. You know, if you want the artist
Yeah,
bio, you click, and you want to listen to the released songs, not like played on a
it's a
stage.
business card kind of.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's very important to have. I think any person who wants to be as a freelancer to generate his own money, he needs to have a good website to whatever business he's doing.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the business of music? How would you call the business? Like what is it that you offer, and what do you expect to get paid for?
With my music.
Yeah.
So
Does it make sense, the question?
it's interesting, like trying to see music as a service.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are different ways. So I could say, okay, with my swing band, I offer like light entertainment in the night when you go out to a bar, and I could create a atmosphere for you. Or, I mean, it's also possible to do that with a swing band, or if you're, I mean, another swing that we play, or when you, it can also be a concert, but of course, if you do a concert and just performance focused thing, the main thing you offer is like that experience and feelings to these people, and sharing energy and like awaking some other parts of your mind artistically. But if there are like there's this, I can see music like that business wise, like have entertainment or like light music, side music. What's it called in English? Like lounge kind of
Background music.
background music, or like I know wedding music, or a little music for your birthday party at home.
Yeah, there are many ways you can make money from music.
Yeah, but you don't
aim
have
for
to do it
something
with your own
different.
songs.
You aim for more individual artist.
Sorry?
You aim for more as an individual artist, as a singer.
What do you mean that I want to do?
Yeah, because you can make a lot of
with-
money from music. So
Yeah.
one way, as you said, you can be like a background singer.
Yeah.
Just to do music on the background.
Yeah.
But is it fulfilling for you, as you would think that you'll be now on stage and you are the main act? What is more fulfilling for you? What is more satisfying to think about?
Well, I played a lot in bars and where people chatted when we were playing. And I mean, some musicians get angry when they do that. Some not, but for me, of course, I really appreciate when I get the attention and really be able to share the moment and like really tell a story through music. But I also feel what music changes for them, even if they're not really listening, and it's more like a background music. And sometimes they chat, and then sometimes they listen, and sometimes there are moments where you see you got their attention, and they stop talking and start watching you. And it's an amazing feeling. You're like, ha, I got you, and I mean, it fulfills me too. And I never sang at a wedding. Oh no, I sang at a wedding of a friend of mine. That was beautiful. That was like one of the best memories. Them dancing their first dance to when I was singing. You know, I mean, you give them like that atmosphere and feeling for their most special moment. I think. Well, whatever way you make music, it always defines your mood. And so, and if it's live, it's even more, you know, you have a really personal connection to that musician, to that moment of yours.
If it was performed well.
Yeah.
I mean, the connection you can have is also can be quite big for a bad performed song. It will
Yeah.
be quite different connection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
but this is also something I think also as musicians, if we take it really seriously, we really practice on our skills, and we also would like to sell this. Look at me, I played guitar for the last, I don't know, 16 years, and I can show you something that you don't see with the average guitarist. Pay me money. It's a kind of state of mind to do so, something like that. But what you said about the attention is something that I really resonate with. And I think this is something musicians also have some difficulty to get some attention. I don't know what is it with musicians and money. It's like some completely separated things. It's like if you go to the kosher culture, it's like milk and meat together. Cannot mix them together. It's impossible. It's forbidden. But what is it? Why musicians and money doesn't go so well? Why if some musicians say I want to do music and I want to make money from it, it sounds like something horrible and you should not ever say that. And musicians needs to suffer and they need to, I don't know, live in a place that they pay 100 euros a month and they share toilets with the homeless people in the street. Like why? Why is it like this? Who made this weird picture of it? I think we can have way easier life if we just take care of the money. And the finance.
I mean, it is a public service to care for the mental health of people, of course, because you being there out there and doing music, whether it's like in the U-Bahn or in the street or in a bar or in an event, whatever, or a concert, it is a public service, and it's like every kind of art to keep people sane from their lives on the computer, you know,
Yeah,
because
so
you get lost, and it is like any form of art. And so I mean, people do sports every day, or like they go to sports centers and they pay money to use the things, or
Yeah.
to do the courses, whatever it is. So of course it's worth money, but I think for musicians, it is first of all, it is like not material, so it's hard to make like put a money on it. Or
It's easy to put money on it.
it is actually, but I mean, you spend a lot of time before, you know, you buy all this equipment, you practice year long, of course.
Well, it's
So
part
it
of how much
definitely you
you-
cannot say like you cannot calculate it with time.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
like it's not, you can't say like in another job 30 hours an hour for a concert. Bullshit.
Yeah, you don't think about it as hourly wage. You think about it more like how much the project is going to be worth and how much I'm gonna make in this month or in this quarter or in this year. So it's a wider perspective on the finance and how energy flows there.
Yeah. I think it's also a little, I think the society somehow, unfortunately, doesn't see music worthy enough anymore to pay that much.
It's the musicians, it's not the society.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the musicians that pull the market down. I also had that topic actually with architects, because if there's that competition going around, and if it's like you are really looking for finding jobs and that there's not enough jobs around, you kind of pull your standards down. You say, and okay, yeah, I can also make it for a little less.
But that's the problem as well. Why would you make it for a little less?
If you're desperate
Why
for
would
money,
you be desperate?
if you don't have enough money.
But that's the thing.
It's
You
a
can always
circle.
get money. I think it's a state of mind maybe more than what actually is happening.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in that vicious circle, it's hard. But I think that there's
Yeah.
also another aspect, because music is just so emotional
Yeah.
for us too. Even if we think about it like, yeah, it's a service we do, it's still like we give so much from ourselves and share so much, and it's like sometimes it might feel like giving a hug for money. I mean, if you think about, okay,
What do you mean, hug for
prostitution is
money?
also like sensuality and like feeling maybe for money, but it's like it might sometimes feel like doing that emotional work might be taken for granted somehow, or like might feel bad to ask money for. I don't know. I'm not sure what I mean with that. Let me think about it. Yeah, it is. I think I'm blacked out right now, but I think it is like from the also, yeah, it's like it is a mindset. But if you have a lot of people around you from the society that sees it another way, it is so hard to stay in that mindset, I think.
Yeah, that's
But
also a problem. It's like
like the
fuck what other
bars.
people think.
Yeah.
And if the bars, if they tell you you cannot pay, if you go to a city like Berlin, and I think most of the places here, they pay you very little.
Yeah.
Or they might tell
problem.
you can pass the hat around, or you get paid for 2 beers and exposure.
Yeah.
But if this is the standard, it's something you need to take into consideration, and then you can think, all right, so if here I don't make so much money, where else I can make money?
Yeah. It's
And
also a matter of saying no to something like
it's
that.
also a matter of saying no,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you need to perform, so like what is good there about me? If I'm an anonymous artist and I'm just starting, maybe it's a good spot for me to check my music.
Yeah, but then again, we come to the point of pulling the market down because there are also enough musicians doing it as a kind of a hobby or not really needing the money.
Yeah.
They're just happy being able to being out there and playing, somebody listening to their music.
Yeah, but it's not
I
about
was there.
everybody. It's not about everybody. It's about us as individuals, and it's about what we decide to do now with ourselves.
Yeah.
And what kind of choices we make and how we approach those choices. Because I can be a musician and I can get offered to play in a bar that pays me with exposure.
Yeah.
And I can look at it from two different perspectives. One of them can be, all right, so I'm not really good, because if I was good, I would get paid better. Maybe I'm an amazing musician, but no one knows me. So there is some lack of skills that I need to achieve. Maybe they're not music-wise, maybe there are other skills.
Yeah.
So I can look at that in this way that, oh shit, they don't want to pay me money, I'm not good, and what the fuck, I'm a musician, they need to pay me at least this amount, blah, 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 blah. And this is disgrace, but I do it anyway because there are no other choice. But you can also look at that as, all right, cool, I'm beginning, so I still have to learn. Maybe I can see how I can get more attention this concert. Maybe I can get, I don't know, 5 more people who follow my Instagram. And then you have like a little goal that you achieve. And this is completely two different mindsets. Because on the one mindset, you think that you're getting fucked. And on the other mindset, you think how you can grow a little bit. And both of them, you go to the same spot. You go to perform in a bar and you get paid with exposure.
Yeah, but don't you think that other mindset kind of destroys the other mindset?
Which one?
That thinking about, okay, it's okay also to be paid with exposure and 5 or more Instagram follows. It pulls down the market for the others that want to get paid actually.
But if you're good, you get paid. You don't have to
really?
be...
Is it really
Well,
like
good
that?
about what? You can be the best musician. You can be a musician with 2 degrees in music, with masters in music.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And not get paid
it's
for
not
it.
just doing music. There are many more skills that
There are
someone needs
so
to
many
master.
musicians that are not good in that sense of like having studied and practiced and
Yeah.
having all that knowledge. They can still make much more money.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the skill a lot of musicians are lacking. And this is a
Yeah.
very important skill, because in the end, how I see it, I want to have enough money so I can live my life without worrying if I will have enough money next month. But I also want to have enough time for myself to do music, to do something that I really like, and not to be limited. And I'm thinking all the time, how can I do that? How can I... And also, how can I assure that the music that I'm doing is on the best way it can be? And then from there, it's like the whole different trip. It's like, okay, now my song is out. Okay, who would listen to my song? How can I get more attention to my song?
Well, it's a really, really long journey because also full-time musicians who earn their money from that don't always get to do what they really want or the music that they really like completely enjoy. You have to maybe,
Like who, for example?
I don't know, but you might have to like play for someone in a theater or in a show. It's not you don't have to, sometimes you're not able to play only your music or the music you enjoy all the time to get money. You might have to do other stuff.
Yeah,
to
so
earn
this
money.
is the question: what is a musician? Is a musician is just someone who is playing notes that someone else wrote? Is a musician someone who expresses
Yeah.
himself through music and
I'm
creates
just
something
over that
original?
question. I
Yeah,
think
it's.
everybody's a musician.
But in the end, I think the big struggle is to make money out of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I used to think, okay, if I'm going to do all that like other jobs, like playing in weddings or like teaching or I don't know, doing lounge music in the background where nobody will listen to me. I was thinking and like getting paid very little and so okay, I can also do architecture in that time and I will earn a little more money. But in the end, that plan didn't work because architecture wasn't like it got wanted more, even more and more from me, and it needed after hours, which sabotaged the music, and took time from me from practicing because it made me tired or stressed.
Yeah.
And also, I could have spent that time when I was sitting on the computer playing notes written by other people, maybe, but it would almost count as practicing because I would be in the business. Or maybe if I was teaching, I would still be thinking about some things I'm playing on the piano. So I wouldn't be getting so much away from the
All right.
concept. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
To teach.
Yeah, teach or
Yeah,
doing
it's a great
other
thing.
jobs to live instead of architecture. You know, maybe also like senseless, let's say meaningless or not like my goal in music jobs. But I mean, if I could do architecture, I could also do those kind of jobs and I would enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. If you do something that somehow can support your music, for
Yeah.
example, 4 months ago, I started to work as a social media advisor. So I advise like 100 businesses how to channel their budget and how to do ads on the internet. And for me, it's really crazy that I get paid to talk about those stuff with people.
Because you also learn for yourself and
Yeah.
your own thing.
And
That's
they pay
great.
me. They pay me to learn this. A lot of people paying this money to learn. They pay in like some weird courses on the internet, and I get paid to do that. So I think everything that serves you on the way, it's a good thing as long as you get paid for it. But also as musicians, like, I think a lot of people not doing this reverse engineering, and it's something that it can help a lot. Like let's do reverse engineering right now. How much
Okay.
money you think you need a month to say that you're good? Can you throw a number?
What do you mean good?
That you have, you have
A
this
good
amount,
life or a decent life?
something that you can be relaxed. You can also,
What do you mean relaxed? Like live and pay my rent and get food, but also like being able to go out with my friends and eat in a restaurant once in a while or go to the cinema.
whatever you want to have in your life that you can say, I'm good. How much money would you need to have a month?
I think like 1,500
All right.
is a comfortable way of living in Berlin.
Can we go up to 3,000?
Why not, please?
All right. So let's go to 3,000. And now we make reverse engineering. So how can we get those 3,000 a month? Do you have any ideas what kind of things you can do?
As a musician?
Something, yeah. Something that relates to music, so that can support you.
Okay, so the choices are you play, you teach.
How many times do you need to play in order to get this amount?
Yeah, it depends on how you get paid. If you like play in a firm event or a funded event, you would get paid like at least 250
For an evening?
for an evening.
All right.
And then if you play once a week, it makes 1,000.
All right.
And if you teach at least for 30 euros an hour, the best case, at least, hopefully. But it's not always the case. But yeah, so then you might have to teach. If you teach like 4, 5, 6 hours, okay, let's say like a round thing, 10 hours a week, it would make like two half days almost, or 2
10
days.
hours a week, it's 2 hours a day if you teach 5 days.
Or something like that, yeah. But it's also like because it's not sure that you get the students all the time because sometimes they quit, you need to find new ones,
Yeah.
but let's not talk about that. What
But
did
also for
maybe
this, there is a solution actually.
what?
And for all the teachers who are listening right now,
Doing Verträge, right?
no, not Vertrag, but you can offer, if I'm the teacher and you're the student, I can tell you, now you pay me a month ahead, I give you 10-20% discount and you pay me ahead.
Yeah,
So if you did not show up for class,
yeah.
then you can take this class afterwards, let's say a week ahead.
Yeah, but then
afterwards.
it takes from your income from the next month. Because
Yeah, you can do that, but let's say if I'm a student and no, let's say that I'm still the teacher, and I can tell you if you cancel the
yeah,
if
for
you
48 hours
yeah,
before
48
then
hours,
that's-
24
of
hours,
course,
then you get
yeah.
no money, and this is
Yeah.
something you can do with
But
the
still,
students.
it can be that after 2 months the students cancel completely, and then you might have
Alright,
to
then
need
it's all
to
good.
find a new one. That's the freelancer problem anyway, or like
That's the freelancer problem, but let's say
challenge.
if we have so if we have 10 classes a week, then it's 300 euros a week, right?
yeah, so
If
it
we
makes
get paid by
1,200. So we're at 2,200 with
Alright.
4 gigs and 10 hours of teaching a week, which is a lot actually.
It's difficult to get it, you say, or what do you mean a lot?
With private lessons, it's difficult to get. If you're
Okay.
teaching at a music school, yeah, you can get it. But it makes you tired if you're teaching it like in a bulk time in 2 days or something like that. But that's actually what a lot of musicians do.
Yeah, true. So
That's
how
how
do music?
they-
What about doing music for other people as kind of a recording session? How much would you charge for 1 hour of your recording session?
Yeah, it depends how much, I think, how many references you have and like how much. Well,
I'm a
I think a
DJ.
decent number is like 100 apparently.
100 euro an hour.
I don't
I'm
know if
right now
it's
a DJ.
if it's by hour. It's more probably per session, maybe.
Let's say I'm a
I mean,
DJ
I
and
think
I want to
different
have your
people-
vocal. I'm a DJ and I want to have your vocal on one of the tracks. How much would you price it, for example?
Well, that's a different thing because if you also like what you need from me, if you only want my vocal or also artistic interpretation, or if you want also words from me, then we might have to talk about also royalties or maybe sharing royalties. Because you never know how successful a song can get.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is very important.
Although
musicians
most
need-
of the time not.
Yeah, but sometimes I notice a lot of musicians are doing collaborations and they don't even get royalties.
Yeah.
This is very sad. Yeah, this is very,
Yeah,
very
it's
sad,
something
actually.
to it is hard. I think it is somehow hard to ask for it or talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, why is it so hard?
I don't know.
It is hard.
Um
It's like uncomfortable.
because I think it's hard to
sensations.
measure the amount of work that how much percent is your creativity in this one or how
But
much is mine because you
Isn't
create
it you
it
just
together.
offer something and then it's like, all right, let's say I'm the producer, you're the singer, and now you say I want 25 of the royalties, and then I can tell you, all right, it's good, or maybe I can say no, it's too much, and then
Well, it's you have to. It's. I think it depends on person.
yeah, but how it just depends if you're willing to do those kind of stuff. Let's say if you think it's 25%, it's something that you will not do less than this, and you agree to get 25% of the royalties, and then when you communicate that with the DJ or with the producer, they tells you no, I would like to give you less than this. I think
Then maybe you can ask for more money then.
yeah,
for
you can ask for
recording.
more money, exactly. But also, those stuff is very important to do before recordings and
Yeah,
all this
yeah,
stuff. I
yeah.
notice a lot of people are
To-
not talking ahead.
Talking ahead is so important.
Yeah, for
Talking
sure.
ahead not only about money but also about the motivation and like the goals and how you work, what your work ethics are, and like it is so important. Yeah, and also like talking about the essence of what you're gonna do artistically.
Yeah.
Why that song was written or some also like that, because in the end your voice, your instrument, you will be in it, so you have to be able to stand behind it.
Yes.
You know, what if a
definitely.
neo-Nazi comes and writes something in a cryptic language and you don't have no idea about it, and then later it comes out and they use it to
yeah.
promote their marches, you know? You don't want to be a part of that. You don't have your name under that.
Yeah, this is very important for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very
wow.
extreme example,
But it
but
happens.
it might happen. But I mean,
Things
not only
happening.
that, it's like you have to have an understanding of what you are contributing to.
Yeah. But this is the easy part. The difficult part is actually to take what is belong to us.
Yeah.
This is the difficult part sometimes as musicians. And I
Yeah.
think we can start with this, if you really want to have a foundation and to build our base as musicians, as a professional, like those kind of stuff is what is really being
Yeah.
shown. It also gives us a glimpse about the people that we are working with.
Yeah.
Let's say if we're working on a song together, but somehow I decide to take more percentage for myself,
Mm-hmm.
then it means I'm not a person that's worthy to work with because I kind of take advantage of you. So this is something that is so important that you get what you deserve.
Yeah. You have
And we
to
need
be
to
in
stand
peace
by
with
it.
what's. Yeah, I think also that we come back to the what you asked, being able to, if it's okay to say no after you already said yes.
Oh yeah. For me, I have
I
no
mean,
problem with that,
it should be okay.
It should be okay, but on the other hand, let's say that we have in a project, let's say that I said, okay, I would like to do it. And we start doing it, and in the middle I discover maybe I don't feel so excited as I thought. Maybe I don't want to be here. And I think that the best thing is to do is just to say that as is. Because I don't think that you deserve to have someone who is not 100% full in. Me has given you the service, and I also don't deserve to waste my time and my energy in something that I don't really, really want to do. It doesn't benefit any of us in this case.
Yeah, maybe like regular talks about where you're going to with your collaboration might be a solution for that.
Yeah, to
If
talk
you're
about
still
it,
on
of
the same
course.
page.
Yeah.
Like not meeting to make music, but like meeting, okay, let's talk about where we're going to. Are you happy? Like a job in
Yeah.
in normal jobs in offices, you have that with your manager every
But you know
couple of
what?
months,
You know
like-
what? Sometimes it's okay just to say, I'm not into that.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that's it, and just walk away.
Yeah,
It's okay to do that.
It's so hard for a lot of people, I think,
For
but I
sure.
think it should be okay. I mean, myself too. It's when I think about it now, until now I never did something like that. But
It's okay that the other person will be mad at you.
is it okay that someone
Yeah.
is mad
This
at
is their
you?
anger, and this is how they express their emotions. They're
Yeah,
disappointed because they want to do something, and now
Yeah.
it doesn't happen.
And it's also their right to be disappointed and angry,
course.
right? Yeah, that's what I can't live with generally. If I make people disappointed and angry, and
But this is their choice. They can also be understanding and to see that maybe it's not your cup of tea. Maybe you don't feel so passionate to be part of this project.
well, yeah, and those people have to be really in peace with themselves, because
Yeah.
there's something like that can be also very well taken personally.
That's the people that I want to work with. People who knows their
Yeah.
shit and they don't feel so threatened if something goes wrong. This is the kind of people I want to have.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to music. And
Okay.
now, all right, so we discovered we need 3,000 euros. We can make some of it if we have some gigs in some companies. We can have some of it if you can teach. And let's say somehow you found a job. So you get, I don't know, you work in a cafe somewhere, in the neighborhood cafe, just to get some income so you can stay above water. And let's say you have extra 200 euros a month.
From that?
Yeah, from everything, you work.
And then you
get paid.
saved.
You pay your
saved.
rent, you pay the food, you pay
Okay.
all the expenses, you go out with your friends, and you still have 200 euro left a month. So what do you think you can do with this kind of amount of money so you can actually put yourself out there and get attention from people?
Yeah.
How can we spend it correctly? Do you have any idea? Or maybe I can...
First of all, if you were able to save, maybe you think about putting a little of that aside for bad
Alright.
times.
Yeah.
It's always good to have that kind of security, I think, or like that feeling, okay, if something goes wrong, and if you get sick, especially if you're a freelancer, that's the problem. If you get sick, like my hands, or something else could be, and you cannot work for 1-2 months. And there are some insurances for artists and freelancers also for sickness and like not being able to work. Thinking about those things is also very important. It takes time to think about those things and organize them in the beginning, like setting up your business somehow.
Yeah.
But this is something you have to think about, especially like coming from me as someone who had struggled with illnesses, and I can't imagine struggling with that while being freelancer and not in a firm, because I couldn't walk for 9 months. How was I supposed to stand on a stage or
crazy.
get to a concert? I mean,
Yeah, I think
I
as a
was
rule of thumb,
frightened.
10% of every income that you have, just put it aside and don't touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, whatever, but like, or maybe you reach an amount and then you can say, okay, now I don't have to spare money anymore for a couple of months, but because okay, this what I have aside in the worst case can feed me for 2-3 months.
I think it's more. I think a minimum is 6 months.
Yeah,
and then you can have up to 1 year. I think if you have 1 year of savings, like emergency funds, it's also a different mindset. When you have 1 year of savings, you make different decisions. You have different perspective.
Yeah, but it's to make a savings for a whole year. It's interesting. You have to maybe give up the stuff for a little while and try to work on those savings, and then say, okay, now I can take risks. And that's the time when you give up a little and make a pause, that you take steps back, because music is so unthankful when you make pauses. Because
for music.
Yeah, because your practice goes
you think
back.
You need to make pause to make money, and then you can go back to music. This is how your brain thinks.
I mean, if you really want to save a lot.
What about making more money? How can you leverage your skills?
If you want to leverage your skills, you need the time, again, to practice.
But what if you do one wedding? How much people charge for wedding? Weddings usually it's a spot where people waste money, and people waste money. Invest in their lifetime experience. But people are not so careful with money when it comes to weddings.
You're right, it's funny.
Yeah. So I don't know how much is a wedding in Germany.
I also have no idea.
Like 20,000. How much is it? Like a normal price? 30,000.
I mean, in Turkey they're pretty expensive. That I know, but
it's different.
I think concept. In Germany they're pretty cheap in comparison to Turkey.
All right, but I would say if you're a singer and let's say you have a band, how much a band will get for a wedding? I would say 2,000 euros.
Heard like at least 500 or something from
for the
a
whole
podcast.
For the whole band?
No, per person.
For each. Yeah, it makes sense.
Or 400 or 500. Remember hearing in a podcast. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts like that.
Which ones? You have the names?
No, I have. There is one that I saw. There is this. What's it called? There was this Encore Music Instagram page, and that guy has worked like in Universal Music and stuff, and now makes a podcast about music business.
All right. Yeah, maybe you can find it afterwards. I can put a link.
Yeah. They have interesting talks with different guests, and mostly themselves, actually, with their own experience. But it's good to hear about different stuff. But then sometimes it can really get overwhelming, because you're like thinking, man, I'm already practicing, I'm teaching, I'm trying to be active and playing, and I need to be working on my marketing, so I'm trying to make content and make videos. I
think it's also the problem.
When the fuck am I?
But you don't need to do all those stuff, that's the thing. You don't need to do those stuff. I think if we delegate tasks for other people, we have more time for ourselves. So
somebody told me that I should find a practicant
exactly.
for marketing.
And if someone believes in your music and someone really is a big fan of yours, maybe you can offer them a percentage of your royalties.
Yeah.
You do my social media, I give you 10% of my royalties. You do it good, I get more royalties, you get more money. This is also one possibility, to hire people, even though...
Yeah, that's how bookers mostly work.
Yeah,
and
bookers, they
managers.
work like that, yeah. If you don't have money, it doesn't mean you cannot have resources. There are many resources without even money, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to. I think it's hard to think of that somehow for musicians, something like, because it is kind of like work without payment, because until now your music didn't get listened very much, or like my two songs from the last 2 years only collected 14 euros until now. So you're thinking, who's gonna work for that 10% of 14 euros for me for the social? Of course, when they help you it will be more,
Yeah.
but it is it is sometimes hard to think. But I was gonna say something else just now. I will get to that later.
All right. Let's think about also teaching. So
Yeah.
you said like price will be between 30 to 40 euros in the good price. But what if you charge to start with 80 euros?
You will probably have less students.
But who will pay 80 euros? Which kind of students are willing to pay 80 euros?
Well, the ones that have corporate jobs.
The ones who have money, you would say.
Yeah.
Or the ones who are really serious about it.
Yeah, of course.
And do you think if you price yourself as 80 euro an hour teacher, does it does anything to your image? Then if you
Yeah,
put,
of course.
no, I will do it for 20, I will do it for 15, no problem, I can do it.
Well,
Which one is more
of
high
course,
standard?
of course, then people believe in you more, that you can do a good job with them and be good, that you're a good teacher, of course. But mostly then you probably you don't teach every week if you're taking that money.
What do you mean?
It's it's actually also very efficient, because in the end you would get the same money maybe in the end of the month, but you teach less hours, so you have time for other
And it
stuff.
might be that the students are more quality, because when someone is paying 80 euro, you really want to make the effort. And also, I think you as a teacher, if you get paid 80 euros, you might want to make the effort to be prepared for the class.
Yeah, of course.
So there is a different quality, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you feel with that? How do you feel with charging 80
I want
euros?
to come actually to another point from here, because I think it's very connected. Mostly because the way of getting to those numbers is very hard and long, and it needs patience and like trying and trying, or finding a student who will pay 80 euros a lesson.
How can
you will try for a long time.
Do you mean like you need to start slowly and then you raise your prices?
No, I don't know if you need to start slowly, but if you want to find someone that pays 80, you will probably look for a student longer than try to find someone who will pay 30.
I think there is no connection there.
Okay. Well,
there is no limits. Let's say, first of all, you live in Berlin. How many people are in Berlin? Like 3, 4, 5 million people that you have access that you can meet face to face. Let's say maybe only 20% of them are people who are actually singing.
Yeah, what I heard is that you get students when you perform. So I think like the main thing, what I don't really do, but is just keep on performing regularly, whether it's on the bar or on the street, in a concert. It keeps you fit in your music, and you feel ready next time you get an opportunity. Because that happens to me, that I sometimes take long breaks, and I like I always do, and like get focused and like zoomed in a video cutting thing, and like 3 weeks after I haven't practiced, you know. And that should be like a summer rule. If you're not playing or anything, then go to jam sessions or something. Like
keep the muscle working.
Yeah. So. But what I wanted to say from another perspective about that it might take longer to get to that numbers and money wise, also like applying.
What do you mean number money wise? To have enough students that
to get to the number of students
that can pay your rent,
or like to get to gigs that will pay you well, or get to fundings that to get to for your project, because you might have to apply 4 or 5 times, and after 2 years finally you get funding. But maybe then it starts to go, because you already have references. It takes just time to collect these references, and until you get there, that you're able to ask, or people would find it okay when you ask for 80 per lesson. or like that's like an example, or 500 for a bar concert or something like that. So that for that reason, that this takes a long time and like believing, and you might have to like really believe for a long time without result. And that is the point. Well, I think we've talked about that in the photo session. I remember you said, when everybody gives up believing and stops trying, I'm gonna be there, and that's how I want to succeed, or so I know I will succeed, or something like that. You said,
Yeah.
and that was really inspiring because
Oh, thank you.
for me, I've been having a lot of trouble about self-doubt, because if you need that much, what's that word? Not appreciation, but approval
Approval.
from outside, whether it's applause or like getting those fundings or getting good paid gigs or students. Sometimes you don't get it because we live in Berlin. There are so many musicians, even if there are so many people, it is hard. There's too much competition. And then you might have to have times where you don't have any results yet, but you still have to keep on believing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the point where a lot of people, including myself, I feel like giving up every couple days, every second day. And you think, and sometimes you're stressed, you're tired, and you play not so good, and you listen to your recording and you're like, oh shit, I'm horrible. And then your give up kind of thinks, okay, I'm not good enough anyway, I'm never gonna make it, maybe I should just quit. And then you get into that vicious cycle, and there it's like just self-destruction. And then I really admire your positivity, like, okay, then maybe you find a job in a cafe for a while and then you get back to it after that. And it should be like, I think that's like the mindset.
Yeah, it's about leveraging stuff.
That things can go wrong sometimes. And it's not only, I mean, it might also mean that right now you don't sing well these days because like this and this and this. It doesn't mean that you're a bad singer all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that. Yeah, it's very complex systems that we need to take care of in order to do so. But I think, this is exactly what you said. And it might sound harsh, but at those moments when you think about giving up, this is where I thrive. And it's not that I don't have moments where I give up. Sometimes I wake up in the mornings, especially when it's winter here, like last month, and the sun shines at 8. I don't know what to do with myself. I really don't know what to do with myself. Yeah, everything is dark. I have no clue what to do. So I'm just staying in bed, I don't know. It's weird time. I'm not used to it at all.
Yeah.
But in those moments, I'm thinking as well, there is someone who doesn't give a fuck that it's dark and they're still doing what they need to do. And that's what really pushes me out, because I know if I will not do it, someone else will do that.
Yeah.
And I know also that what gives me the edge when I'm doing stuff when other people are not willing to do stuff because they feel tired, they feel uncomfortable. And, if you just look at this in the longer run,
yeah.
So if I do only 1% better than I did yesterday, it's 365. No, it's even more.
Yeah.
Because the day afterwards, it's not 1% than the first.
Yeah. It's gonna rise exponentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just about keep on doing that, And sometimes also I don't have the right time. It's not true actually, but sometimes I have other stuff that takes my momentum from practicing the guitar, and all I need is 15 minutes. Just to play a little bit, 15
I hate those 15
day.
minutes because, I had those times when I was sick and like my pain problems, and everybody was telling me, you just need 15 minutes a day. And in the end, it's about prioritizing what you're prioritizing. If you're prioritizing your health, okay, you really have to take the 15 minutes a day to take a walk, 15 minutes a day to make your homemade deal, or like even more, or 15 minutes a day to do your yoga and everything. And then you go out to play, sing, and you're like, oh, I can't practice enough, I'm not so good these days. And someone tells you just need 15 minutes a day. You're like, come No, I don't.
I did not really finish my sentence. You need 15 minutes a day to maintain it.
Yeah.
So if you don't lose it, you
You
use
need
it.
to make it a priority to maintain it. That's the
Of course,
the main
if you
thing.
don't use it, you lose it. It's
Yeah,
so
of
simple.
course.
It's like that. Either you get better or you get worse. You cannot stand in the place. You cannot not sing for a month and then you would have expectations after a month you will be at the same spot.
Of course.
Because it's muscles.
Yeah.
It's so important to maintain it. And I think if we make it like as a healthy kind of routine,
It's also good for your body, actually.
it is it's good for everything.
Yeah.
But if you do if you do voice warm up 15 minutes every day, I think this is great.
Yeah.
And the voice can be such a good shape. Everything, just 15 minutes. If you really want to go deep, for me at least, I would say like half an hour to 1 hour. I can do it maybe daily. So
Yeah.
if I practice guitar, I practice vocals, and all this kind of stuff. So just to maintain it, I would say I will need 1 hour a day to maybe divide it with other stuff. So this 1 hour a day has been taken care of, but also yoga is very important and it's part of the whole image. So I think today I can only speak for myself with that actually. For me, I'm grinding a lot, so my day looks like that. I wake up usually between 5 and 6 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just wake up. That's why I get so confused in winter. Like I wake up at 5.
But how
it's
many
dark.
hours do you sleep when you go to
I
bed?
sleep good. I sleep like between 6 and 8 hours. It depends.
Okay.
So I sleep good. I go to bed quite early. Like 11, I'm already snoring.
But I mean, 11 to 5 is not a lot.
Yeah, 11, sometimes it's 6. Sometimes I wake up at 7. I don't know, but it's enough for me. So
Okay.
I managed to do with my
Cool.
day.
I hate you.
So
I
much
used
love.
to do that, but now it's not possible. My pain just gets back.
Yeah, this is also something. It's like I don't know. It's weird. I cannot speak for yourself, but I know for me, even though it's hard, I know that most of the people are not willing to do that,
Yeah.
and it gives me energy.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm working from. Sometimes I start at 7 in the morning. I'm already doing stuff in front of the PC, and sometimes I finish at 8 or 9 in the evening, like completely grinding through that. But of course, I take breaks in the middle of the day, in the mornings. I try to get sunlight as early as I can. I try to eat healthy, so I try to avoid sugars. I try to avoid bread because I notice afterwards I just get foggy and tired.
Yeah.
So it's like those little stuff that I notice how I can make it better for me. And then when I have all this really high intensity day routine, then I can actually do stuff that I really want to do. So I can have money and I can pay other people to do the work that I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I will have free time to do what it is that I want to do, because I believe that my hour is worth more than what I pay for someone else.
Right.
I believe that my hour worth, I would say 1 hour, 100 euros.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how much I would pay myself if I was a freelance of my own.
Yeah.
And then what do I do with this 1 hour? Do I check my social media? Would I pay someone 100 euros to sit down in their Facebook or, and if my hour is worth 100 euros and I can hire someone to clean my house for 20 euro an hour, why would I clean the house if I can hire someone to do that? I can just keep on practicing and getting better. And let's say if video editing in your example takes so much time from you, why not paying someone to do that? And then, all right, so I don't have money. Maybe I can find ways to make money. What do I need to sacrifice in order to make money? But then once I pay this person, then all this time is free.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
maybe I
it's
can,
time management, everything is
yeah, so maybe I can relax now. Maybe I can think on other ways how I can make money, or maybe other ways I can promote myself. In places I can get more gigs, so I can get more students. Maybe I can pay someone to go and have flyers in people's mailboxes that you're teaching music, for example,
Right.
Like there are many things you can do. And how much is it to pay someone to do it? You can find a kid. How much do you pay kids? I don't know. You pay someone.
Are you for children labor?
Yeah, they would love to do it, If you pay a kid like 50 euros to go, I don't know.
Yeah.
50 euros to go 3-4 hours, a few streets, just to put.
Well, that's entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's what we need to do as musicians. Because we must keep the money flowing. And if the money is flowing somehow, then we can also leverage it towards the music.
Mm.
And we need to find those little tricks, you know, sometimes it's just to get
Yeah.
extra 20 euros a month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this can make a big difference.
Right.
And then once we have a little bit of extra money, then we can leverage it. So let's say I have extra 20 euros. Maybe I can pay someone to do booking for me. So I give them 20 euro and then I tell them, if you make more money in this concert, then you can have 10%. And this I give you 20 euro just for you to get me some concerts this week or I don't know what. And then also this has been out of your head, so we can practice on the music.
I think a lot of musicians, I don't know, I don't want to speak for anybody else.
We speak only for ourselves.
Exactly. Sometimes, like for me, sometimes like writing the artist bio is the hardest, because on those days where you think like, I'm not good enough, or like it's like the killer. I hate it, but or sometimes like a song that you recorded 3 years ago and you're better now, but it's done and you have to like release it now. And you think, oh man, I'm better than this, and then. But you still kind of have to act like you have to sell it. And at that point, you should be kind of able to leave your feelings out of it. I think we sometimes mix music with feelings too much. Yeah. Also with practicing, because for me, practicing instruments was always easier. But somehow in the end, I'm a singer because I like feelings more. Because for me, singing is, I don't know. For me, at least, like I have more feeling connection when I'm singing. So, but again, if I'm like tired or like had an intense work day, like you said, for you it's more relaxing or like finally have time to practice. But if I'm tired and I feel bad about myself, I don't feel like singing.
Don't get me wrong, some days I'm fucking tired and I feel really bad about myself and I really don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I give in to those feelings and emotions and I really do nothing.
And then sometimes you just check the schedule and practice.
Yeah, exactly. And I do it without joy, I just practice.
Yeah.
Because I need to move my muscles. It's something that's completely technical and my emotions are just standing in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I need to go out of my way.
Yeah.
What is really important for me in 5 years is to know that I'm one of the best guitarists where I am. I know in 5 years I want to be one of the best producers. I want everything that I will touch, it's like the alchemist. That's what I want to do. I want to turn stuff into gold. And this is really hard work to do it. It's a lot of knowledge. It's about failing so many times to do shit until there is the right thing to do. And it's like, it's one step after another step, after another step. And once you're doing those steps, it's just tiny bits, and it just gets, it accumulates over time.
Yeah.
And then after 5 years of just walking, you realize, oh shit, I made so much distance from where I started.
Yeah, I can definitely stand behind that, even though I had the complete opposite experience, because I always started and then stopped. And I felt like I'm starting over again, like for the 10th time now. And it was like pretty disappointing. In the end though, now that I look back, I still made some way. I'm not like there where I started again after a couple of months, and you kind of grow and learn. But definitely like.
But what if you would not stop? Can you imagine if you would keep going through let's say the suffering?
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be stop, For me, I always say it like that. If I cannot walk, no, I say it like this.
Yeah.
If I cannot run, I walk.
Yeah.
If I cannot walk, I can crawl.
Yeah.
There is the slightest movement I can do forward.
Well, that's the more sustainable thing.
It is. You just need to move a tiny bit forward.
Yeah.
That's all you need. But keep on moving forward. Some people are running sprint and then they stop.
Yeah.
This is you.
That's me. And then that's why you get sick. That's why I got sick, because I always stop, and then I when I finally got the courage again, I had to do so much in a short time. And in the end, it's
It can be very stressful because
It
you
is
stopped
stressful.
and then you have so many things that loading you.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, this is also a
Like
good
that's
skill
what
to
I did
have.
last week. I was like, shit, I've been cutting the videos all the time. I have to practice now. And then I practiced too much and then I had elbow pain again. I was like,
Oh, shit.
shit. Is this really gonna? And then it was also the stress.
But how much would it be to pay a video editor to cut those stuff?
I don't want. I mean, I don't have money right now. I wouldn't be able to pay.
But how much is it? Let's say, what kind of video did you edit? How long is the video itself?
Like the videos are gonna be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and 1 minute.
All right.
And then the material is like 1 hour maybe.
So you need to take 1 hour and to cut it.
It depends. Sometimes in artistic work you might need more.
All right.
3
So it's
hours,
like 50
4
euros,
hours.
I would say, to pay some.
50, I think it's not enough.
It's not enough.
I mean, it's not fair. Someone would make it, but the thing is.
All right, so let's say 100 euros.
Yeah.
Like how much is it? Like 3 hours of work? Come on.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't want to give it away. I want to do it myself. The problem is, with me at least, I really want to make everything myself.
Oh, that's a big problem.
That's a huge problem because, I mean, it's like I used to be a little more perfectionist than now. And, I mean, it's not that I'm not saying I do everything perfect, but you have to be able to weigh your time worth, your money worth, your energy and health worth with something what somebody else can do while you can take care of yourself or do another thing and be okay with it. or
Yeah, I can resonate with that as well. But then it's also, do you prefer being perfectionist and spending so much energy there, or maybe you have other priorities you would like to spend the energy there?
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about it, I also am realizing I should really ask for help for some social media and marketing stuff. But in the end, I mean, if you're the artist, you have to create the content yourself because you have to be in the video. You at least have to make the video of yourself.
Yeah.
So, definitely there are things that you can get help for. But I that was like where I was standing in the summer, or like when I quit in the summer, and then I was in Turkey for a while. I went to rehab for my pain problem, and then I came back, and I was like trying to adjust to life for like a month, and started like playing out on the street. And like November, I finally started working. I just wrote notes, actually arrangements for the live playing for 2 months in the end, and it's still not done. But I said, okay, I'm just. The 5 songs is enough to have notes. I can work with that. And like we did the studio recording thanks to those notes. And now I can work with it. And when the time comes, I will probably do that faster. Because I realize also when I'm stressed or like when I have a deadline, I work much more efficiently than when I have relaxed time. But you have to be careful with that because you might put yourself into permanent stress, and it's not good. But I was like thinking, okay, do I really want to try out to support my life financially as a full-time musician in this year, or like trying to find projects, commercial projects, maybe like wedding gigs or something like that, or teaching and whatever? Or do I really want to use this time to bring out the album the way I wanted? And I was always between those two. I was like going back and forth, and that killed me, changing goals all the time. In the end, I realized, my actions showed what I wanted, and apparently I really want to bring out the album the way I want, and I really have this story I want to tell, and I really want to do these videos I want to put this story out there the way I should see it and cut it, kind of.
And you did also crowdfunding before, right?
That was 2021. Oh, those
and how
people
did it
are
went?
still. asking. It went well. It went okay. I aimed for 10,000
Yeah.
and we got around 3,000. Like 30% is great, actually.
But isn't it if you don't reach the goal, then you get nothing?
There are different platforms. I did it with Indiegogo.
All right.
And that's the platform where you still get the money, even if you don't reach the goal, but they take more percentage away.
And you need to pay taxes also for the money?
Yeah. That's why I back then went to the Finanzamt and got my Steuernummer, tax number and everything. I kind of listed myself as a freelancer musician, and I've been doing tax declarations since then.
Cool. So it's an upgrade, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an upgrade.
Well, I've been I've been in minus since then, but it's okay if you're starting a business, because also like at one point they tell you, okay, this is a hobby and not a real profession if you're all in minus all the time, because like I paid much more for music than what came from crowdfunding, or it was also Corona, so I didn't have gigs at all. So I was always in minus, but well, maybe now that I'm also teaching, let's see. Like this album is kind of like this milestone for me. I really, really hope that's why I also want to do it really good. But I think it's actually maybe not the right way of thinking, because of course, it's the first album. It's not going to be your masterpiece. Maybe it will, but like for me, I thought, okay, this is the first and last time I will probably ever be able to do this, because like I don't know my age, or like, okay, if I want to make kids, and then I probably might have to take a job that like pays regularly, and then I don't know whenever I will have a chance to take time off for music again and like invest in it, like now, maybe when I'm retired and my kids are out of house. And when you think about these stuff, and actually that was my motivation to really start searching for people to make my music with. I was thinking, okay, now I'm 29, or I was 28, and then if I want to make kids when I'm like around mid-30s, then I should really start making music now, because if I like take 1-2 years to make music and then release my album and then play a little, and then then I will search for a job, like a corporate job that I would hopefully enjoy, and then I stay there for 6 months so that I can have a baby leave, and then I can make baby. Okay, then it takes like 3 years. Now 3 years later I quit my job and I see things differently. But yeah, I think like I met a musician friend a couple days, like weeks ago, and he said that now he got back to a job to like spare money again, and like maybe 1-2 years later, or 1 year later, hopefully he will quit again and then make music again after saving. And I thought, okay, because for me it was like it's now or never. It was a good motivation though, but it also stresses you a lot because you have to succeed now. There's no breathing moment, or no allowance for failing.
But is it true, or is it just your opinion about it?
That's how I thought.
Okay.
And that's because I thought I will never have this chance again. I will probably, after releasing the album, maybe giving a couple concerts, go back to another job and make kids. And then probably I won't be able to like make music like this ever again. Probably I will find, as mothers always do, like they are the most efficient people in the world.
Yeah.
Much better, efficient ways to work and find time for myself. But yeah, I mean, I thought this guy, like working and quitting again and working, I was like, okay, I could do this too. It like opened a little my mind to that possibility. Okay, this might not be the last time, but I thought, okay, you can't do this if you have kids. You have to save lots of money to
Yeah.
be able to say, okay, now I quit again for 1.5 year, and I be sure that you can get back to something where you can still be sure you can earn enough money for
I
your
still
family.
stick to the thing that if you charge more money, then you have better chances of success.
Of course, I mean, I'm not saying there are so many musicians who make kids and not working in corporate jobs. And
Yeah, there are many ways people live their life. You can
yeah,
also think if you now you live in Berlin, so you have a different expenses. But let's say you live somewhere outside Berlin, then it might be cheaper for you.
yeah,
If you live in a country where it's cheaper to live, let's say Portugal,
yeah,
and you have a farm somewhere, then it's cheaper to live there.
yeah.
And then if you
But
make
then where are you gonna find those 80 euro paying students in
why
the
not?
farm
You have
online?
computer?
Yeah,
People pay a lot of money for people online.
yeah.
I know a guy is like a relationship coach, and he charges $1,000 for 1 hour of coaching.
Oh my god.
People pay him money.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about the stuff. Oh, should I charge 40 euro or 80 euro an hour as a
Like
teacher?
little things.
And there are people who charge 1,000 euros just to talk with them for 1 hour.
Wow, yeah.
Imagine 2 calls like this a month. That's it. You don't need more than this. 2 hours, that's it. You got fixed. And people live like that. People are living like that. Not one or two people, there are hundreds.
But if
not
you're gonna
thousands.
feel okay with that, I
Why
mean,
not?
I would feel like I'm robbing those people, charging 1,000 euros for an hour.
But
of
are you
session.
robbing those people?
I don't find it right.
Do you think like you're robbing them?
If I charge 1,000 euro for an hour, yes.
But what if if you charge 1,000 euro for someone for an hour, for someone that pays you for your time and your knowledge, and what if these 1,000 euros that I will pay you for 1 hour will give me benefits or insights that I can generate 10,000 euros? Would it be still robbery or would it be a service?
Yeah, of course. But yeah, something should be in some, I don't know, in a frame somehow. Because
This is the frame.
Because like, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because like in Turkey right now, there was this earthquake, they're still happening, goddamn. And like people are suffering. They're on the street, they're freezing, there are not enough containers or tents. And like the construction industry, they raised the prices of beton, of concrete, and metals so much higher. And if you think
Since the earthquake?
since the earthquakes, because they know so many houses went down,
Yeah.
they have to build new houses, and then it's clear. Of course, you guys are gonna earn a lot of money anyway, whether or not you raise the price. And they see that, what's it called in economics? Demand and thing. What's it called? The other thing?
Demand and request.
Yeah, demand and request. So because there's this request now, which is a tragic one, they just raise the prices. Because there's this demand, and it's like, I'm one of those people who find this like using the tragedy of those people.
Definitely. But this is not the case when there is a disaster that is happening, and somehow you see people in their lowest place, and instead of giving them a bit of help, so you even make it tighter and you make them feel worse. So this is one thing, but it's another thing when you say, this is my service, and if you want, you can pay me this amount of money. So the other person got the full freedom to choose if it choose to pay you 1,000 euro for 1 hour of talking with them.
Yeah.
And I think this is different. Maybe mentally it's not so easy to get it. Can you receive 1,000 euros for 1 hour? Let's say someone offers you 1,000 euro for an hour of vocal teaching. Can you see it as a way he can support you? Can you see it as funds, as grants, as a scholarship?
Yeah, I mean, if that person is giving it like lovingly and as a means of support instead of like, yeah, for like service. I mean, of course you can charge, I see that you can charge 1,000 euros for a concert, definitely even more, but
Yeah, but isn't it the whole idea of money? Let's say I like your music, I want to support you, I buy your CD, I give you money. I give you energy because money is energy in the end.
Yeah, I would probably be able to receive it much easier than in giving it as a lesson. I mean, of course, they could say, "Yeah, I will support you, and it would be cool if you give me 1 hour lesson." I would then do that probably. Yeah, I mean, why not? Of course.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
It's so effortless, huh? Imagine, really imagine this. Feel it in your body.
Yeah, but it feels like having a sugar daddy.
Like a sugar daddy. Did you ever have a sugar daddy?
No, I didn't.
If I was a girl, I would have a sugar daddy for sure. So much money. Can I have a sugar mama? If a sugar mama listens to that, I can play you music when you fall asleep as long as you pay me.
Yeah.
We're almost 3 hours.
Oh my god. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anybody's gonna listen that long.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, if
put
you're
it out
still
there.
listening, we love you.
Yeah. What do you think about playing some music? Are you still into that? How do you feel?
What?
You still feel like playing music?
Sure, why not?
Cool.
Okay, should I bring up my ukulele?
No, we can. No stress.
Okay.
I would like to think to close this beautiful conversation. I think we opened up a lot of stuff here. Your experience with that you found music in such an early age, and then you got away from the music to architecture, but somehow you find your way back.
I never did really get away, but it was like the practice of making music, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always in me because I was like thinking about it all the time and thinking about why I'm not doing it in that moment.
We talked a lot about as well how we can look differently maybe on money and about how we use our time and what is our value and how we can reverse engineer to think how much money we need and then okay, what we need to do in order to go there.
Yeah.
And also we thought about the fact that sometimes if we raise our prices, it's better than to do it the cheapest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I cannot respect people who do stuff for cheap.
Yeah.
I also cannot respect people who charge a lot of money and they don't deliver in the end.
Yeah.
But at least I respect them in the beginning, so I give them a chance. But if someone is really trying to compete about giving me the cheapest price, I don't trust it so much.
Yeah. I mean, your building might collapse.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to pay for cheap stuff. What did you learn from this podcast about your musical path? Is there something that you will take with you that will help you build more strong foundation, or maybe there is something that you think I would like to try to see how it works for me?
Yeah, you definitely evoked the idea of asking for like help for marketing or for some of the stuff that I should do, and that are also other many ways of like finding that. And yeah, then we talked a lot about a lot of things, and I feel like I'm a bit like thinking somehow conservatively, and compared to you, apparently.
About what?
About music, or not music, but like about making money with music, or about work in music. Or like probably I'm thinking like a white collar person, because I mean I come from a white collar family. I worked in white collar for 7 years. And like the coach was telling me that I could also like make money if I want to use my voice, and my hands are hurting pretty fast. I could just like use my voice for advertising or something and take money for that, earn money for. And I was like, where do you find these jobs? I have no idea. You know, I'm like this stupid white collar person, has no idea how you can be like think like an entrepreneur and find jobs that suit you.
That's a
I
different
know how
podcast
to
to have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know how to look for architecture jobs. But of course, if you have spent your whole life in there, it's really hard to get out of that. And I realize I should push myself a little more to get out of like my mindset until now. And yeah, it was really nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it was really nice to listen to your story and to hear where you came from.
Yeah.
And you really told it with so much details that I felt
too much
I'm really
details
with you there.
again.
No, it's not too much. I love it. You gave me a really detailed movie about yourself, so I can imagine it vividly, and I like it.
Yeah, sorry if it was too long for some of you guys.
Please do not
out
apologize. Please, this is your beautiful life. And this is your beautiful experience, and I'm pretty sure someone is listening and they get inspired by all this conversation.
I hope.
Yeah, I think for me, what I really would like to emphasize about this conversation is the fact that do a little bit, but keep on doing it consistently.
Yeah, that's what I also want.
It's better to crawl, but keep on crawling than running and sprint and then stop because you have injury.
Yeah.
And it's really, even, you know, if you practice...
Or find another way.
Oh, yeah. Even if it's 5 minutes a day to practice, it's better to do it for a year. You will be better than most of the singers if you practice 5 minutes a day on your voice.
Yeah.
Than if you practice, I don't know, 1 day for 2 hours. And then your voice will be all rusty and you cannot sing for a week.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about, well, like, or when I tell my students like how they can practice, like, because we sometimes think also very conventionally or like in very narrow frames about how to practice, but it can also be like listening very carefully while you're cooking or singing or like practicing while you're cooking or doing the dishes or like, I don't know, whenever you have your
like
mouth
in a shower.
Free. Yeah,
there is a good reverb in the shower usually.
And it's like, it doesn't have to be, because I used to think that for a long time I have to take a whole hour and sit in front of the piano and practice, you know. But now I'm trying to find like ways of little moments, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. Of course, if you can find one of those 5 minutes to really sit down and concentrate on what you do, it's great. But you also need a little like mentoring there to what to focus on, or maybe at least sit down yourself and make a plan for the next month or at least for the next week.
Yeah.
Because planning or deciding, okay, what am I gonna study now or practice on now, it takes the 5 minutes and then it's gone.
Yeah, true.
Having a plan is very important.
It's very, very important. I agree with you. But I think sometimes you don't necessarily need to have a plan. Let's say if we take piano, every musical instrument that I play, so if I go to play it first time the day, I'm not so good. So for me, just to practice in a way that is not really musical but really technical, just to get some muscles moving, it's to grind scales, if it's the guitar or the piano. If I just go for that without even paying attention, I already played 10 minutes easily without even noticing. Just me trying to get the movement as fluent as I'm used to it. And that's all I need. If I just want to maintain the skill, that's all I need.
Yeah, maintaining is a big thing too. I mean, it's great.
It's not easy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to improve every day. If you're maintaining your level from like yesterday, great.
Yeah, and it doesn't require so much. If you take half an hour a day to practice your instrument, you can make such a huge progress.
Yeah.
And this is something I think a lot of people having hard time to accept that.
Yeah, or make the time for.
I think it's
Because
bullshit. I think it's bullshit to make the time. How much you sleep 8 hours, let's say, you eat, you take a shower, you shit.
yeah,
So
but
we have
you need
like,
to move stuff around. That's what I
yeah,
mean.
let's say
That
we have 8 hours of sleep, then 4 hours of doing stuff that we need to do because we're alive. So that leaves us with another 12 hours. So let's say there are another 2 hours that we waste on social media just because we live in 2023. Then it leaves us with 9 hours. And let's say
if you work 8 hours.
I have full-time job and I keep doing a podcast. I have photography business. I have my music project that we just finished a video clip. I practice my voice. I practice guitar. I keep on learning new stuff. I have a wedding that I'm doing photography in March, and I never did it before, so I'm learning a lot meanwhile I'm doing that. So there are no excuses, It's not that I have more hours a day than someone else. I just decide what to do, and I decide where my attention is going.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
remember a friend in a podcast saying that it's hard to maintain the social life while doing that. That's sometimes I think where people struggle, or when you're like already in that social life and have to change the reactions that you get.
what do you mean? What kind of reactions to change?
Like that you say, okay, now I'm gonna take that 1 hour away from my friends that I normally spend a time with. And then you get reactions from those friends.
Yeah,
I mean, I had that when I was in high school. I used to, after high school I was finished in the afternoon, I would go out to practice in one of the classrooms when my friends went out to drink coffee. And like sometimes I felt bad or like a little asocial, but it was okay. But sometimes I said, okay, I'll go. You need to also find that balance sometimes. Or
yes and no. It depends also on your friends and who do you call a friend. It very depends what is the definition for a friend from a person to a person. But
another
also,
complete podcast.
what?
A complete another episode, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Or we can have like a whole season just talking. But I think at least how it works for me, I know that the people that really care about me, they don't care if I disappear for a month or two. And these kind of people are the people that I would like to spend my time with. I don't want to spend my time with people who make me feel bad because I have something else that is more exciting for me to do. But this is only for me. Some people are more social. For me, I can be a lot with myself. But
Yeah, I
there are
think a lot of
some.
musicians too.
No, actually, I have a friend musician. I don't know if I should say the name of the friend, but the friend really likes to have a lot of connections with a lot of people, and this is what they do the best.
Okay.
And they're very social, and this is what keeps them happy and what charges them. For me, sometimes when I'm with too much people, I feel it drains me. So it really depends on the person. And when I'm alone with myself, I feel like I'm being charged.
Yeah, it's about like finding what feels good. Adrian.
Yeah, exactly. I think
What
listening
good
to your
you?
songs will make me feel good.
Yeah. Aww.
So what are you going to play?
Maybe I will play 7 hours. That will come out 2
Several
days from
hours.
now. But I think
7 hours?
7 hours. By the time this will be released or like get online, the song will probably be out there already.
All right. So where can people hear the song?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
On all streaming platforms.
On all platforms.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe I can play that, or maybe I can play Searching Time. That would be actually really, fitting to our conversation because that's gonna be the second single that's gonna come after 7 hours. Maybe that might
You have
be
something with time, the motive with time, 7 hours,
I have
searching time.
right. I never realized that. No, 7 hours is about a romantic night,
Oh,
but searching time is actually I realized actually nowadays because I had kind of lost my connection to my songs because I wrote some of them like 8, 9 years ago, some of them 2 years ago, but like some of them really old, and we recorded them like some of them 2 years ago, and I had been like looking for that connection again, and some of the songs had new meanings for me. And the searching time, I just realized last week when I was practicing and writing down the lyrics, I was like, wow, this speaks to me so much differently right now, because I realized I was complaining about how I can't find time enough to do everything I want, and like maybe thinking about that I want too much, or like, yeah, well, how am I gonna find enough time for music for my old work? And that was actually what it was about. But I sing in the song, searching time is when you search yourself being yourself. So I kind of cried when I realized that last week. It was so weird that 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 apparently like that searching time was actually not a search for time but search for myself, and like finally being able to and allowing me to be myself, because like for a long time I didn't feel like, at least in the 8 hours of the day where I spent at work, I felt like I'm living a life of someone else, and that kind of also made me sick probably.
this is scary, yeah.
Yeah. And like waiting for the time to pass to get back to your life, and then you can forget your own self.
What is time?
Hmm.
Is there any other song you want to play?
Um, yeah, there's another one. Actually, those are the ones that I played also on Sunday, a couple days ago in Prachtwerk. I played 7 hours, searching time, and there's always hope. And I wanted to dedicate it to the victims of the earthquake, and it was actually a song that I wrote on the first day of my sabbatical before I changed jobs, the one I quit then. After like my hands weren't working, my feet weren't working, and the first day of my sabbatical, I woke up and like, okay, I have 3 months, and I went to the balcony and I just wrote that song, watching the scenery.
cool.
And it never happened to me for another song ever again. But I would like to always believe that there is always hope, and it's about like listening to yourself, listening to your body, and shouting out to the world who you are.
Oh, yes. You're a tough woman, Pinar.
Oh, thank you. I hope.
After all, you're still here and you're still going
I'm
forward.
still standing.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
All right, people. So Pina Berlin, go for it. Spotify, Instagram, Facebook as well.
Yeah.
YouTube,
Yeah.
everywhere.
But you have to write Pina Berlin music.
Pina Berlin music.
Otherwise, you will get stuff from Pina Bausch, which is also amazing. But yeah.
Yeah, first go for.
I'm
Pina
not on
Berlin
TikTok
music.
yet, but my students, 15-year-old students today, convinced me to do that. Maybe I will hire someone. If there's anybody out there who likes TikTok, please come to me.
Yes, do it. All right, let's listen to the songs.
All right.
Have a beautiful evening, people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Sound of Pigeon Podcast.
Sound of Pigeon.
Son of a Pigeon podcast.
Searching feeling scared but uninterruptible. Writing on the skin of an old big bird that will carry you away from your previous lives. When you choke yourself with your own lies, a song stuck in your head like a buzzing fly. Fly, my childhood of big dreams. Don't you think you're losing time in long deep day sleeps, growing up into your bigger fears? Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da, da-da-ba, ba-da-da-da-da, searching time is when you search for yourself, being yourself, sitting on a wooden bench, feeling scared but uninterruptible. Searching time is when you search for yourself in the jungle of concrete in the city, jungle of the city in the sunrise, when you're working so hard, when it's hard to find the time to think about yourself, to find the time to love yourself and search for yourself. Just sit on a wooden bench and look around. Maybe close your eyes and take a little time, a minute, a second, a millisecond. Just think and be yourself. Allow the time to be yourself. We met high up above the hills, practicing my hiding and finding skills. But I still don't know what I want. It's just too hard to think about all the serious things in life I got to think about. You got to think about. Touching knees and elbows down where the western sun goes. Have no clue where I'll be in 7 hours. 7 hours until the lips are hushed. I have been talking too much, hearing Christmas bells ring, but where is the church? Now the buzz and phone makes me feel excited. Lately I have been very tired. I showed you all of my paintings, my hurt-induced feelings. I don't know why so soon I miss how your touch feels. How your touch feels. Touching knees and elbows down where the western sun goes. Have no clue what I'll be in 7 hours. 7 hours until the lips are hot. I have been talking too much, hearing Christmas bells ring, but where is the church? Where is the church? Where is the church? Where is the church? Ooh, where is the church? Where is the church? Where is the church? Where is the church? There is always hope if you can just wait for a moment to hear. There is always hope if you can just say, I need to hear. There is always hope if you can just stop and listen to yourself. There is always hope if you can just say it to yourself loud and clear. Say it to the world. I listen to my body like the mother nature, like she needs rain and sun. The flowers and rainbows need patience to reappear. There will be good days waking up to a brand new world. There will be music within your heart to find the light, and wars will be over across the ocean. There will be no nation, and the universe will be holding your hand and sing this in. Sing it to yourself loud and clear. Sing it to the world. I listen to my body like the mother nature, like she needs rain and sun. Flowers and rainbows need patience to reappear. Reappear. Need some patience. Reappear. Need some patience. Reappear. Need some patience. Reappear. Need some patience. Ooh.
some patience and little hope that it will reappear. That's it.